OTB. LA filing number 16-7969.
WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Let's go, baby, let's go!
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah!
Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah, they said I gotta come off the bench.
Now, here's Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Welcome in, Friday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you one more time, filling in for Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert, Alondra Villarreal, Cassie Spazzali on audio and video. Guys, it has been a heck of a week. We got 3 more hours to go, and we are working for the weekend here on a Friday morning. Before we get this thing started, let's go around the room. Alondra, how we feeling this morning?
Feeling good, ready to kick off the weekend.
You and me both. Cassie? You played hooky from work yesterday, so you must be well rested, right?
I did. Well, I'm not that well rested because I was up late last night working on a school project, which is why I had to take off yesterday.
Oh, Matt told me you just skipped.
No, working on a school project, almost done. Graduate in May, but still gotta just grind it out before then.
So this was not your advertising class, right?
Yeah,
It was your
yeah,
advertising.
it's my advertising class. We were filming some commercials yesterday.
Yeah. You filmed a lot of commercials. Cassie has done so much free labor for these mega businesses. It's
not
incredible.
Not getting paid for any of it.
Well, have they has any of them used yours? I know you did one last year.
We pitched them. So last year we did like an advertising campaign for Relief Windows, and like we actually pitched it like to the owners of Relief Windows. Like that was pretty cool, but like I don't think any of them used any of our stuff, which like I guess it's not technically free labor if they don't use it, but we still did all the work.
That might be worse, though. That just means yours wasn't good enough to be used, right? Guys, I'm doing all right this morning as well. A little tired. Went to the gas station this morning. Look, trying to get my usual morning snack. And I'm just berated by the lady behind the counter. Like, she tries to tell me that, like, I'm too old to be drinking Dr. Pepper. And then, like, she starts going off about Catholicism. I'm like, lady, can I just get my Dr. Pepper and my Snickers and go on about my day? It was the strangest thing. What a thing to get upset about. But
can everybody relax?
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
what are we doing?
Guys, Dr. Pepper's for everyone.
What are we doing? Why are we putting age limits on Dr. Pepper?
Alondra gave it up.
That's what I gave up, yeah. Because
she already looks younger. I mean, look, like it's been 3 days.
That's so true. I asked my sister if I looked like I was aging. She said a speck. I was like, all right.
I mean,
she was talking about something else though, but like it came after she was referencing something else. She was like a speck, and then she said that after I sent the message, so it looked like she was saying that to me, and I was like, well, let me book my Botox appointment. She was like, no, that's not what I meant. 27, man. I'm in my late 20s now. I don't know how I feel about that.
Cassie was telling me this morning. She's like, all I was doing yesterday was like picking up cameras up and down. She's like, I'm so sore. And I was like,
my legs are sore. I shouldn't be that sore.
I told Alondra, like, I had to play golf and we were dancing at the wedding on Saturday. Like, I had to wait till Wednesday to go to the gym. That was Saturday. Yeah. I'm 28 years old. I should not be hurting this much.
I'm 22. I should not be sore from just picking up cameras.
You're fine. You're 22. You got a couple more years before you really start feeling it. Okay, guys, look, jam-packed show today. A lot to discuss. Big news drop for LSU. We're certainly going to get into that. Let's get the show started like we do every day.
It's time to get to work, courtesy of Tiger Labor and Staffing, where they can help take care of screening, training, payroll, and more. Now, for starters.
Okay, so every day this week, I have done a position breakdown going into spring practice, which will begin tomorrow. Yesterday, I'm putting the show together, and I couldn't decide. I'm like, do I want to go O-line? Do I want to go D-line? Something told me to go D-line, and it's one of those things that worked out perfectly because reports are that LSU has found their next defensive line coach. Multiple reports came out yesterday afternoon. It looks like former LSU Tiger and Buffalo Bills great Kyle Williams will be named LSU's next defensive line coach. He reportedly came into Baton Rouge on Wednesday, interviewed for the job, was offered it yesterday, and he accepted. Little bit of a weird hire, a little bit of an unorthodox hire for Brian Kelly and his staff, because you've seen Kelly go after the cream of the crop, right? The guys who have been there, done that, the guys who are established coaches. Kind of the opposite for Kyle Williams. Now, Kyle was a great player here. He wound up being an All-American at LSU. He was a fifth-round pick at Buffalo in 2006, and you guys know the rest of it. I mean, he played his entire 13-year career in Buffalo. He made 6 Pro Bowls. He was a second-team All-Pro in 2010. The guy's one of the best defensive linemen to ever come through this school. He's never coached in college in any capacity. So a little bit of a weird hire. Actually, since 2020, he has been the defensive coordinator at Ruston High School. So he's stepping up a level of competition. Obviously, this will be his first collegiate coaching position. So it's a little bit odd because, okay, look, you're not going to replace Bo Davis. The reason it sucked so bad when you lost Bo Davis, the reason he was the highest paid D-line coach in the country is because he was the best D-line coach in the country. You're not going to replace him. Whether it's as an on-field coach, a recruiter, Bo Davis was the whole package. I'm not really worried so much about, oh, well, Kyle Williams has never done it on this level. He's never recruited, even though that is certainly a concern. If you wanted to hire a guy who's a technician, who knows how to coach this position, who has played this position at the highest possible level, there's not too many guys out there I would trust teaching a young group of guys how to play the defensive line position than Kyle Williams, a guy who's been an All-Pro, who was an All-American, who played over a decade in the NFL. So while the on-field coaching experience isn't there, the experience at the position, you're not going to find anybody more qualified from a technical standpoint, teaching guys how to do it the way he did it. Also, what this does is this brings in a homegrown guy, a little bit of a younger guy in terms of coaches that can hopefully keep the defensive tackle group together. We've talked about it a few times. The biggest loss for Bo Davis immediate, as far as the immediate future goes, is you have to retain all the guys you work so hard to get on campus. Ahmad Bro, Dominic McKinley. You still have Sean Washington, the 3 freshmen you brought in. Can you keep those guys here in Baton Rouge? If they can develop a quick relationship with a younger guy like Kyle Williams, who's from this school, who had a lot of success here, who's lived in Louisiana most of his life, that's going to be important for the depth of this position. Look, there is talent in this group, okay? Well, let's start with the defensive tackles first, or the interior, if you will, because I think that's where Kyle Williams is going to spend pretty much all of his time. You have Jacoby and Guillory back from injury. He's a 6th-year guy. He's been there, done that. So much hype coming around him last year, and second game of the year, he has a season-ending injury. I mentioned Ahmad Bro numerous times on this show and how good he's looked as a freshman. This is huge for Ahmad Bro because Kyle Williams, I mentioned, was the defensive line coach at Ruston. Ahmad Bro played at Ruston. He has already played under Kyle Williams before. That connection's already there. You want to retain these guys, give them a little bit of familiarity. I'm sure Ahmad Bro is over the moon about this decision. With Dominic McKinley, while he didn't play under Kyle Williams here in Louisiana, he is very familiar with who this guy is. That is important because those are your 2 best young pieces in all likelihood. As good as Jacoby and Guillory, I think, is going to be, as important as he is, depth-wise, experience-wise, you only got him for 1 year. Hopefully, you have Ahmad Bro and Dominic McKinley this year and next year. That's important of retaining these guys because you saw the flashes last year as freshmen. You lose Gio Paez, you lose JVR Suggs, but look what you added to that room. Again, a bunch of young guys that can hopefully connect with Kyle Williams. Zion Williams, 6'4", 330 pounds. He's going to be a nose, that one technique. Brandon Brown comes in. He's 291 pounds. He can actually play inside or on the edge if needed. Same thing with Walter Mathis, a guy that's about 285, 290. You can get his weight up or down depending on where you want him to play. He's a guy that can play inside or outside. And then you bring in Sydir Mitchell, the Texas transfer. He's 6'5". He's 340 pounds. He is a massive human being. If Kyle Williams can keep that group together, look, sure, you lose Gio Paez. He was an every down starter for you a year ago. You lose JVR Suggs, who we've talked about a number of times on this show. While the number of snaps might not be there, when JVR Suggs was on the field, he was an impact guy, and he was probably your best interior pass rusher a year ago. So you lose Suggs and Paez, but you get back Guillory, Ahmad Pro, Dominic McKinley, and the 3 talented freshmen I just mentioned. While there's not a ton of on-field experience, there is a heck of a lot of talent in that defensive line group. Now, as far as defensive end goes, it'll be interesting to see the working dynamic between Kyle Williams and Kevin Peoples, who I think is one of your best coaches on your staff. Look, from a year ago, you lose Swinson and Jones. So while Kevin Peoples has been here, he's in the same position as Kyle Williams. You have to replace a lot of new guys. So you lose Swinson and Jones, your 2 starters. You also lose Deshaun Womack to the transfer portal. He's a guy that, for whatever reason, could not seem to get on the field consistently. He seeked out other opportunities, but he was a 5-star who came in. He's a guy that you would have liked to have kept for nothing else other than depth purposes. You were excellent in the transfer portal here. I sat up here yesterday and talked about the defensive back group and how good you were in the transfer portal. The only place you were probably better is the defensive end, the edge, the pass rusher, whatever you want to call it. The first guy is Jack Pyburn. 3-year player at Florida. Played in 29 games. Last year was certainly his best year. He played in 12 games. He had 60 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss, only 1 sack. He did have an interception, though. Now, that 1 sack, don't look at that too much because Florida took him off the field in 3rd down situations. You heard an interview with him right after he decided to come to LSU. He said, look, I want to improve my ability as a pass rusher. I want to be on the field in 3rd and long situations, getting after the quarterback. It's why I left Florida. It's why I wanted to come here. I wanted the opportunity to do it. So yes, while he only had 1 sack last year at Florida, he wasn't on the field in passing situations a ton. So that number might be a little misleading. And then you also bring in Patrick Payton, the Florida State transfer. This is a guy who's 6'5". He's very quick off the edge, and he was super productive. He was at Florida State for 4 years, but in 2021, he only played in 1 game. So we'll call it 3. In 2022, 31 tackles, 6 tackles for a loss, 5 sacks in his redshirt freshman year. Played in 13 games. 2023, that was a big year for Florida State. They went undefeated regular season. Played in all 14 games, 44 tackles, 15 tackles for a loss, and 7 sacks. And think about how talented that defense was. That's a defense that had Jared Verse, that had Braden Fisk, and he was able to step up, play that many games, and make that type of impact. That's the kind of pass rusher that you're getting in Patrick Payton. Last year, no different. 12 games, 35 tackles, 11 tackles for a loss, 4 sacks. So this is a guy coming in super productive in college. 110 tackles, 32 tackles for a loss, 16 sacks in 3 seasons at Florida State. The guy is a player. I expect we're going to hear his name a lot here in spring practice. And then the last guy is Jamari Butler. Comes over from Nebraska. He's a little bit bigger than both Jack Pyburn and Patrick Payton. He's 6'5", 245 pounds. Can he take over that Savion Jones role? Now, he'd have to put on a little bit of weight to do it because Savion was hovering around like 275, 280. 3 years at Nebraska. 2022, 12 games, 2 tackles for a loss. 2023, 34 tackles, 5.5 sacks. And then last year, 7 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks. So he comes in, 7.5 sacks, 3 seasons at Nebraska. I mentioned a little bit of a bigger guy. He can be a run stuffer for you as well. There is a ton of talent in this room. And I just mentioned the frontline guys as far as the defensive end position goes. You still return Gabriel Relaford, who we saw flashes of a year ago as a true freshman. He's back. He's going to be in the mix. Look, I get it. Everyone's going to talk about Pyburn, Payton, and Butler because they're the transfers that everyone's excited about. They're the new faces. Gabriel Relaford's a player. You heard so many people at the Senior Bowl say, hey, Gabriel Relaford, watch out for him. As far as the LSU guys over there, Savion Jones mentioned it, Braden Swinson mentioned it, about like who's next up for LSU. They both mentioned Gabriel Relaford. You also bring in freshman Damian Shanklin. He's a guy who's 6'4". He's 240 pounds. He was a 4-star coming out of high school. Kevin Peoples should have a field day with this group. Even a guy like Jack Pyburn who wants to rush the passer but doesn't have a ton of experience doing it. Just look at Braden Swinson. Braden Swinson had like 5.5 sacks over like a 2-year span. You bring in Kevin Peoples, he had 8.5 last year. And then look at the jump Savion Jones made from before Kevin Peoples got there to after. Peoples is an excellent coach. He knows this group. If you can bring in a technician next to him like a Kyle Williams, that could form a really good group. As good as Bo Davis was, I'm excited about this. Do I have concerns? Absolutely, because Kyle Williams has never coached on the college level. But again, I'll go back to as far as someone from a fundamental, a technique standpoint, someone who knows the position, knows how to play it, you're going to be hard-pressed to find somebody better at that than Kyle Williams. All right, look, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, interesting write-up at LouisianaSports.net about the strength of schedule released for all SEC teams heading into 2025. We'll get into where LSU ranks. We'll kind of break down their schedule, give you my thoughts on that. That's coming up on the other side here on Off the Bench.
Off the bench.
All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. If you're buying new, if you're leasing, if you're renting, and we've been telling you over the last couple of weeks, and well, next week is here, but if you've got a trip for Mardi Gras break, it is not too late. Call Miss Lisa Sessions today in the rental department, and if you need a midsize SUV, a full-size SUV, van, truck, hybrid, sedan, doesn't matter. Everything's available in that rental process, so make sure to get that done. But of course, if you're buying new or leasing, well, actually, maybe not leasing. Maybe you go some places and you only have like 3 options, one in each category. That's not the case over at All-Star. T-Bob and I have both taken full advantage of the rental process, leasing a vehicle, buying new. All 3, everything's going to be available. And we always tell you they have something for everybody. No matter what your needs are, what your family's needs are, they have got you taken care of. So go check out the full selection of vehicles at All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family-owned and community-driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart
Back to sports talk. Maybe. Off the bench.
Welcome back in. Friday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Shepard with you, sitting in for Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert. Teased it a little bit there going into break. The 2025 S&P Plus rankings have come out for the 2025 season. This was actually last week. Bill Conley of ESPN put these out. Look, those are a little confusing. They're solely based on Conley's analytics and metrics. So essentially what he does is predicts strength of schedule based on the projected winning percentage an average top five team could expect against your specific schedule. Also, every SEC team is listed in its top 25 on strength of schedule. No surprise there. Missouri last, which I filled in for Hunt Palmer a couple weeks ago. I don't know who Eli Drinkwitz has paid off to get such an easy schedule. He had by far the easiest schedule in 2024, and he has so once again. Think about what we said all last year about Missouri. Is this team actually good? And here's why: because they were beating the crap out of teams, but they weren't any good. They played 3 ranked opponents last year. Missouri lost all 3 of them, and honestly should have lost to Vanderbilt. If Vanderbilt kicker doesn't miss a 42-yard field goal and send that to force that game into overtime, Missouri wins. Vanderbilt wins it in regulation. So that's interesting to see that their schedule is so bad in the SEC 2 years in a row. For what it's worth, is Oklahoma number 1, Florida 2, Arkansas 3, Vanderbilt 5, Mississippi State 6, South Carolina 7, Kentucky 8, LSU down at 9. So he believes that LSU has the 9th toughest strength of schedule in the entire country. Let's kind of look at their schedule a little bit, kind of get our thoughts on it. Obviously, you open the season with Clemson in South Carolina on August 30th. That's the big one, right? That might actually be your season-defining game, even though it's week 1 of the college football season, because of how talented you are projected to be on paper and how talented Clemson is as well. Look, I think LSU potentially, depending on how certain dominoes fall, where the chips lay and all that, has a chance to be a really good football team this year. But Clemson's going to be a really good football team as well. Cade Klubnik returns as the starting quarterback. Going into last season, everyone wanted to see, hey, can Cade Klubnik protect the football a little bit more? He did that. 36 touchdown passes, only 6 interceptions, close to 70% completion percentage. He was excellent a year ago. Also, he returns all 3 of his leading receivers from last year. Now Clemson's offense loses Phil Maffa, but you couldn't really run the ball last year anyways because your offensive line just wasn't good at run blocking, very similar to LSU's offensive line for most of the season. So while you lose Phil Maffa, he wasn't a huge impact for you last year anyways, and your offense was still effective. So first we're going to do is, let's say LSU beats Clemson. Okay? Doesn't really matter what the score is. Let's say LSU goes on the road, beats Clemson. So you're sitting there at 1-0. And you come home against Louisiana Tech. That's going to be a win. Week 3 of the season, you host the Florida Gators. It came out yesterday that DJ Lagway is suffering a little bit of an arm issue. He can't throw the ball. He's going to miss the majority, if not all, of spring practice. If that lingers into the season, you're in Baton Rouge. You lost to Florida in the Swamp last year, which is a game I think you should have won anyways. I like your chances there. So then you're sitting at 3-0. Let's give you a win against Florida. You come home again, Southeastern, that's going to be a win. So you're at 4-0 going to Ole Miss on September 27th. Ole Miss was a tight game a year ago, but I'm going to give the advantage to LSU strictly because they lose Jackson Dart. They have to replace him. Now, Austin Simmons is the projected starter out there at Oxford. By all accounts, he's a talented quarterback, but we just haven't seen him be that starting quarterback at Ole Miss. I got to go with who I trust, with who I know has been there, done that. That's Garrett Nussmeier. He's the returning starter. So you're 5-0 right now. I think you beat South Carolina, even though that's going to be a dogfight once again, because you were able to go in their house last year, beat them on the road. They come back to Baton Rouge. You're 6-0. I think you beat Vanderbilt. That puts you at 7-0. Texas A&M is at home. That is another game that in the first half of that game, you absolutely dominated. Something flipped late in the second quarter. The second half, A&M comes out, blows the doors off of you. And then that started LSU's 3-game skid last year with A&M, Alabama, and Florida. Can you fix that problem, though? You know Marcel Reed is likely going to be the guy all season long. There is no excuse of, well, they changed quarterbacks in the middle of the game. We really didn't expect to see him. We weren't prepared for it. You got all year to prepare for that guy now. I expect them to do that. I expect them to do a much better job. So give them a win there. Now you're 8-0. You go to Alabama. I'll give you a loss. We'll give it a loss to Alabama. Even though they're breaking in a new quarterback, Bryant-Denny's a tough place to play. Even though LSU has fared well there in the regular season. So that puts you at 9-1 or 8-1. I think you're going to beat Arkansas. I don't think they're going to be any good. You're going to beat Western Kentucky. You're 10-1. Then you got to go on the road at Oklahoma. So if you beat Clemson, there's a chance you can almost win out the rest of the year. Drop one of Ole Miss or Alabama. I think those are your two toughest games because they are both on the road. What happens if you lose to Clemson? Let's say you lose that first game. I still think you beat Tech. I still think you beat Florida. You'll take Southeastern. So you're 3-1 at that point. So you lose your first game of the year. All you have to do, though, is run the table, win all the other games you're supposed to win. Now, I get it. That's easier said than done. DJ Lagway is going to be really good, but that's in Baton Rouge. Marcel Reed's probably going to be good. That game is in Baton Rouge. I'm giving you the advantage over both of those teams because you're at home. You play so well in Tiger Stadium. All you got to do, even with a loss to Clemson, is split one of Ole Miss and Alabama. That puts you at 10-2 in the regular season. A 10-2 SEC team is, in all likelihood, going to get into the college football playoff. You get into the playoff, anything can happen. So, while, look, there's certainly tough games. South Carolina at home by no means is going to be a cakewalk. A&M at home is going to be a tough game. Florida at home is going to be a tough game, especially if DJ Lagway is fully healthy by then. You got Ole Miss on the road. You got Alabama on the road. You got Clemson on the road. I just listed 6 games you could potentially lose. But if you take care of business at home and win one of, if you take care of business at home and win one of the 3 on the road, Clemson, Ole Miss, Alabama, you're sitting at 10-2. Especially if you beat Alabama or Ole Miss. Then you only have one SEC loss. You're still in a really good spot. You look at the schedule, and yes, it certainly looks tough, but most of your tough games are at home. And even with Ole Miss on the road, Alabama on the road, they're both breaking in new quarterbacks. I'm assuming it's going to be Austin Simmons at Ole Miss. By all accounts, he's talented. We haven't really seen it yet. At Alabama, is it going to be Ty Simpson? Is it going to be Keelan Russell? We don't really know. These are all things that are still very much up in the air. And again, A&M at home, Arkansas at home, Oklahoma on the road, but they're kind of a mess right now. I mean, they bring in John Mateer, which he did a lot of good things at Washington State. Playing in a 2-team conference in the Pac-12 is a lot different than playing in the SEC. And Brent Venables is on thin ice there anyways. I think they're going to have a good defense. But is it going to be as good of a defense as it was last year? You lose Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman. Those were your 2 best defensive players from a year ago. You lose Jackson Arnold. How many weapons are you going to have on the outside? LSU stole your leading receiver in Bauer Sharp last year and your most talented receiver that didn't get to play in Nick Anderson. They are both going to be in Tiger uniforms this year. How many weapons are honestly going to be around John Mateer? He put up big numbers in a wide open offense. And here's the problem. Oklahoma is trying to run that spread offense, but in the SEC, I get it. It's a pass-happy league now. You still have to be able to run the football. They were not able to do that all season last year, and that's really what kept them out of ball games and what got them behind early on. I don't see how they've made a big improvement in that area this year. Like LSU's chances there. So yes, while Bill Conley has them as number 9 toughest schedule in his S&P Plus rankings, I like LSU's schedule. I actually think it's pretty manageable. Clemson could define your season week 1, but it doesn't have to. Even if you lose to Clemson, you take care of business everywhere else, win all your home games, beat Oklahoma on the road last game of the season. Then your season really comes down to 2 games, at Ole Miss, at Alabama. Can you split them? If you lose to Clemson, you have to split those games. If you beat Clemson, you can probably lose both of them. So while on paper, yes, this is a really tough schedule, things fall nicely for you. Some of your tougher games with returning quarterbacks like Florida, like South Carolina, like Texas A&M are all at home. Ole Miss and Alabama on the road, but they're both breaking in new quarterbacks. How are they going to look? They also both lose a lot on the offensive side of the ball. And Alabama didn't have a ton of weapons on offense last year to begin with. It'll be interesting to watch. I think LSU does have a tough schedule, but honestly, as far as the tough schedule in the SEC goes, this one might be more manageable than a lot of people may think. All right, look, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, Want to do a quick segment on LSU baseball. They take on North Alabama this weekend. We're going to launch his thoughts as well. Look, it's a 3-game series. You're not going to learn a ton about the Tigers as far as the opponent they play, but I think there's a lot of things the LSU Tigers need to fix. We'll get into that on the other side here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
TrashRangers.com, TrashRangers.com. Bottom left of the website, you can sign up for residential service. Right in the middle of the website, commercial service. And then in the bottom right, sign up for that roll-off dumpster. Now, if you don't know what size roll-off dumpster you need, you've got a project at your home or your business, you pick up the phone, you give Trash Rangers a call. That is 225-363-9053. Hey, here's what I got going on. What do you think I need? And they're going to make sure you have the right size dumpster for your job. And look, I am jealous if you get to work with Trash Rangers because so many different things that they do for you, the customer. That's what they're all about. And that's why they're in the community so many different times. And you'll see them, support youth baseball teams, basketball, like whatever it is. They're all about you. Reliable and hassle-free trash removal services here in South Louisiana. Again, go to the website today to sign up, TrashRangers.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environment.
Welcome back to more sports talk with some other stuff mixed in. Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, welcome back in. Friday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you. Alondra Villarreal, Cassie Spazzali here as well. We are filling in for Jake and T-Bob one more time. They will both be back on Monday. Well, They are scheduled to be back on Monday. I got confidence my guy Jay Kessler will be back. T-Bob, I don't know. He's got a little bit of a track record to kind of extend that vacation an extra day. We'll see. I hope both of them, though, will be back in the fold on Monday. Okay, LSU baseball playing what is essentially their final full dress rehearsal before SEC play gets started as far as a weekend series goes. Tigers are going to take on North Alabama in a 3-game series this weekend. North Alabama is not a very good baseball team. They are 3-8 overall. They're in the middle of a 5-game losing streak, and they are 0-6 away from their home ballpark. LSU should have no problem in this series. You absolutely should sweep this series. You absolutely have to sweep this series. This weekend, it is not about LSU's opponents. It's about LSU and cleaning up the things that you need to fix. What can we expect this weekend? What I want to see personally is clean up the errors. Whether it's throwing errors, whether it's misrunning balls in the outfield. You saw it on Tuesday night. It kind of all came to a head in the same game. Now LSU was able to weather the storm. They were a lot better in the Wednesday game against North Dakota State. They cleaned it up. It was a 180. But still, anytime you see that against a bad team, LSU clearly just looked like they weren't focused on Tuesday night. You got to be focused this weekend because this is your last out-of-conference weekend series. And I get it. You're playing Missouri week 1 in the SEC. They're not that good, but that's still an SEC opponent. You're still going up a level in competition from North Alabama and North Dakota State. I want you to stop giving batters free passes. Now, there's been a little bit of back and forth on this. Some have said, man, the staff as a whole started out so strong the first 8 games, and then the last few, they've kind of fell off. And then others will say, well, they didn't fall off. It's the midweek guys that you're not going to count on. I understand that to an extent, but look at Wednesday night. William Schmidt is absolutely an arm you're going to count on in the weekend. Sure, LSU was great. They didn't give up a ton of runs. He managed just fine. He still gave up 6 free passes to batters, whether it was hit by pitches, whether it was walks. You have to clean that up because teams like North Dakota State are not going to beat you when you do that because they're not talented enough. When you get into SEC play and you play these top teams in the country, that loses you games. That is the difference between winning and losing games. By that point, the catcher battle as well. Cade Arambidi has a lot of talent. We've seen the flashes. Even though his batting average isn't great, we've seen him with some pop on the bat. He actually hit the home run Tuesday night to kind of spark you and get things started for you offensively against North Dakota State. But he's been bad behind the plate. I mean, he's been super inconsistent. There's no other way to put it. Now, he's a young guy. He's a freshman. He'll likely get better there, but what is that going to look like? Is it going to be Hernandez for a 3-game series? Even though Blaze Priester's not hitting, his defense actually looked pretty good on Wednesday night. Does he get some run? Because a lot like giving up the free passes to batters, how did things get started for North Dakota State on Tuesday night? Cade Arambidi dropped the 3rd strike. It put the batter aboard. Then he throws the wild throw to first base. That batter goes to second. And then it kind of all unraveled from there. You saw the throwing error from Stephen Milam. Jake Brown misread a fly ball in the outfield. Stanfield let one go over his head in center field. It kind of all combined. One error turned into like 5 or 6. Then you're looking at a 7-1 deficit after 3 innings. That loses you games against good teams. Because North Dakota State, they didn't do anything. I mean, they scored 9 runs and 6 hits on that game. And their pitching staff had a +11 ERA. Nobody you play in the SEC is going to have that. They're all going to be better than that. If you dig yourself in that deep of a hole in SEC play, you're going to lose games. You have to make sure that doesn't happen to you this weekend. You have to treat this like an SEC series. Even though the opponent's not great, it's all about you. It's all about the mistakes you make or don't make. The last thing I'm looking at, does right field and DH become more clear? Because, there was about 4 or 5 guys we mentioned before the season started. Hey, can they play right field? Can they play DH? What's the combination going to be? It's kind of come down to 3 guys, Jake Brown, Josh Pearson, and Ashton Larson. And honestly, the last few games, Ashton Larson kind of seems like the odd man out, which coming into the season, I didn't expect that at all. I mean, we were sitting here on Monday morning, the day after the first weekend series, saying, man, we were really surprised Ashton Larson didn't get that opening day start. Because by all accounts, he looked really good in the fall. He's had some bad at-bats recently, and Jake Brown and Josh Pearson kind of seem like they passed him up for the moment. You're still going to need Ashton Larson. Ashton Larson's still going to have a place on this team. But that's kind of what I'm watching. I want the errors cleaned up. I want pitchers to stop giving batters these free passes. I don't care if they're good teams or bad teams. You can't do that. We need the catchers to be a little cleaner behind the plate. And right field and DH. Are there going to be guys that lock down those spots, or are you still going to see a rotation? I know that's kind of a lot, but again, it's not about the opponent this weekend. It's more about you. Can you fine-tune everything before you get into SEC play? Because once you hit Missouri, sure, they may not even be great, but they're still SEC competition. It doesn't slow down. It only gets tougher from there. You still got a long season ahead of you. That's kind of what I'm looking at as well. Alondra, as far as like this weekend for you, again, North Alabama, I don't care whether you're playing North Alabama or whether you're playing Catholic high school. It doesn't really matter who your opponent is this weekend. What do you want to see from the Tigers?
I don't really know what else I can add to what you just said. But if I want to get like specific, I want to see Anthony Ianson not get behind.
Yes.
Like he has been the past. I mean, he does good in
He's
those
got
spots.
out of jams. Can he not get into the jam is what you're saying? Yes.
Yeah. So he's done good in those spots, but let's not get behind. Like, let's just have a clean game. And behind the plate, we need to clean that up real soon. Because it's like
that is the biggest question mark on this team right now.
Yeah. Because it's like you said, like we're just giving up these free bases, and you can't just give them runs like that when you have the pass balls, or like you can't put them in running position or a scoring position for them. So just don't, like, it's just like small mistakes that turn into critical mistakes when the game is close, like it was on Tuesday night for however long it was. But that, and then I agree with you with right field, but I think if it were me, I would want Josh Pearson there, just because like he has proved time and time again to be the most clutch player.
I think he's an
team.
Everyday player for you at this point. I really do.
And he has the clutch gene. Like, we talk about it all the time. Like, anytime you need him to show up, he does. Like, I've never been in a position where like we were behind or we needed to tie up the game and Josh Pearson came up to bat and I was worried. Like, I'm like, oh, we're good. So yes, I kind of just agree with everything that you said, but if I wanted to get into specifics, I want a clean game from Anthony Ianson. Don't get behind in the count. Don't give up the free bases. And yeah.
Well, going back to what we were talking about, because like I've heard a lot of people say, okay, well, the free passes, you know, that's the Tuesday game of the guys who aren't going to pitch for you on the weekends. First off, Connor Ware's been really good up to that point. He's a guy that I thought you could rely on in the weekend, maybe up until last night. But I mean, Jaden Newt, DJ Primo, like these are guys that have been on this team. You're going to count on DJ Primo in all likelihood at some point in your weekend games. These are not just guys that, oh, they're freshmen, throw out there. Like, sure, Chandler Dorsey, it was his first time seeing him, and he looked really settled things down. Yeah, he was actually your best pitcher on Tuesday night. To Alondra's point about Anthony Ianson, yes, because, you know, we all kind of gave our big takeaways in this room, and all of us had a different takeaway as far as week one of the series goes, and mine was, it was Anthony Ianson because he was able to get out of a jam. You don't always have your best stuff, but we've seen it about 2 or 3 times now, Anthony Ianson getting in a jam. Now, he settles things down like the last 3 innings. It's kind of his first 2.5 to 3 innings that's really a concern. To Alondra's point, you can't do that because you're not always going to play a North Alabama, North Dakota State, you know, Omaha, anybody else they've already played so far this season. When SEC play comes around, you get people on base, that's an issue. And as far as Josh Pearson goes, she's right, I'm right, whoever, like, we both agree that he has to be an everyday player. Yeah. Because it's not 1 or 2 times that Josh Pearson comes through clutch, to her point. And it's been for 3 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, even as a freshman, that's how he got into the lineup. As a freshman, he was only hitting like 235, 240, but it was the clutch at bats. I mean, he was key in that national championship season. A lot of people don't think about that, but like when the SEC tournament came around, when the NCAA tournament in Omaha came around, like Josh Pearson was a guy you were relying on. And you've done that ever since. I agree with you. I think whether it's Jake Brown, Ashton Larson, whoever takes the DH role, Josh Pearson has to be in there. I think he has solidified his spot so far. I know that every year people are like, oh, we got to replace Josh Pearson. His batting average isn't good enough. First off, he's hitting like 300 this year, so his batting average is actually pretty good, but it's the clutch moments. You cannot sacrifice that for maybe a guy who's going to hit 260, 270. I mean, you have to have him. Plus, he's actually a pretty good outfielder as well. Like, he doesn't make a ton of errors out there either. We saw Jake Brown.
I was going to say, like, he's clutch in the outfield, too. Yeah. Like, he's clutch defensively and offensively.
He's made great catches at LSU in his career.
Yeah,
great
and,
ones.
like, this is like little things, and sure, maybe his batting average isn't great, but he takes good at bats.
Yep.
Like, he will get into that pitch count.
He's not a guy that's just going to go up there
And
with the
swing
bat
out
on his
whatever,
shoulder,
or
swing
bat
and
on the
miss.
shoulders. Yeah,
3,
so
4 pitches at bats. Like, he's going to 6, 7, 8 pitches.
Yeah, that's not going to get recognized because of the batting average, and it's a small thing, but it's important in baseball. So it's Josh Pearson absolutely is like one of my favorite Tigers that have played at LSU.
Yeah, I agree. All right, look, that was a pretty good baseball segment there. Again, overarching, what we want you to learn from that is it's not about your opponent. It's about LSU. Clean everything up, whether it's giving up free bases, whether it's the catcher battle, Josh Pearson more at bats, infield errors, whatever it is, you clean that up going into the SEC, and you'll be fine because you're talented enough to hang with anybody in the country. All right, look, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, Travis Kelce on the podcast with him and Jason had some high praise for one Mason Taylor. We'll get into that on the other side here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
Yeah, look at my guy Hunter Burns in the chat. Go Pels, baby. That's right. Go Pels and go Tommies. Tommies when it's exciting. GEAUX Tommies.com. What about this? Go Bearded. Okay, Tommy Kissinger, not just a window, Hardy Plank Vinyl Siding, water vinyl windows, any type of door expert. He is an expert at all that. If you need any of that, energy efficient options, lifetime warranties, they got you. He also has a sick beard, but he realized he was getting into the beard game. He didn't have the product that he needed. And so he started a company, Go Bearded, GEAUXbearded.com. And if you want to live your best bearded life, live it to the fullest, grow it to the fullest, you need those products. GoBearded.com, GoTommies.com.
Yeah, when you go to GoTommies.com, you'll see what they can do for you. Always tell you there's great testimonials and galleries of what they've done in the greater Baton Rouge area, but also they can customize your job. Have Tommy and the team come out, tell them what you're looking for, and they will get it done. GoTommies.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews.
Back to sports talk. Maybe. Off the bench.
Feels like Jordan's good. Feels like maybe somebody else needs to go to yourgoodwood.com and check out what they've got for you. Check out some tea situations and different things because, I don't know, don't love the energy coming out of some people there. Yourgoodwood.com. Click to schedule your appointment today online. Yourgoodwood.com.
Welcome back in. Friday edition of Off the Bench, closing out hour number 1 on a Friday. Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce, obviously we know they have the New Heights podcast, and it's one of those that kind of hits a lot of topics. Well, they got to talking about the NFL Combine, and apparently Travis Kelce really likes Mason Taylor. So according to Sportskeeda on the New Heights podcast, Jason Kelce asked Travis about, certain prospects in this draft that he liked. And Travis Kelce apparently said, Mason Taylor is just a fluid athlete. He's not even 21 yet. So this is a guy that had a good amount of success at LSU, played in the SEC. And on top of that, he's only going to get better as he gets older. He's only going to develop more strength and more athleticism the longer he plays the game. If there's someone out there, look, whatever your opinion of Travis Kelce is, doesn't really matter. There's someone out there who knows the tight end position. It's him. He's one of the best to ever do it in this game. And of course he likes Mason Taylor, right? I mean, he meant so much to the LSU offense a season ago. You can look at Mason Taylor's numbers and be like, wow, he was really productive. I mean, 1,300 yards and 6 touchdowns over 3 seasons, 129 catches. I mean, he basically holds every tight end record for LSU. It's more than just that. Throw the stats out the window, throw the records out the window, doesn't matter. How many times did Garrett Nussmeier go to Mason Taylor in big moments? Think about the Ole Miss game. He went to him twice on 4th down to tie the game at the end of regulation, and then they had to have a 3rd down in overtime. He converted on that as well. You saw it time and time again this season. He went to him early in the Vanderbilt game when that game was still tight to get them rolling there. We all know about freshman year Mason Taylor. They run the 2-point conversion play. Jaden Daniels rolls to his right, hits Mason Taylor out in the flats. That was a play that was designed for Mason Taylor, a true freshman, to take down top 10 Alabama. That's how good of a player this guy is. That's how much his coaching staff trusted him his time here. It also makes sense why LSU had to fight so hard in the transfer portal to get tight ends, because Mason Taylor is not going to be easy to replace. Look who LSU added. Bauer Sharp from Oklahoma. If you have an every down tight end, this guy's it. He was a leading receiver for the Sooners a year ago. Now, Oklahoma didn't have a good offense, but Bauer Sharp was a bright spot. You added Donovan Green from Texas A&M, a big-bodied tight end. He's likely your blocking tight end this season. And we know all about Trey'Dez Green. Freak athlete. I mean, he's 6'7", he's 245 pounds. We saw what he did late in the year. We saw what he did in the bowl game. I mean, he is just poised for a big season. If there's a guy I'm excited about on this offense outside of Garrett Nussmeier this year, it's Trey'Dez Green. Because I can't wait to see how they use him. I still think he'll line up more out wide than as a traditional tight end spot, because that's why you brought in Bauer Sharp. You needed a traditional hand in your dirt, edge of the line of scrimmage tight end. That's Bauer Sharp. I mean, he was very good. He was one of the top tight ends in the transfer portal for a reason. Wherever Mason Taylor gets drafted, and right now it looks like he's going to go 2nd round, 3rd round, somewhere in there, somebody's going to get a heck of a player. He's been around football his entire life because of who his dad is. Of course, Hall of Fame defensive end Jason Taylor. He came to LSU, and keep in mind, he was actually not even an early enrollee as a freshman. He came to LSU in the fall, had about 3 weeks to learn the offense, and he was your everyday tight end from the moment he stepped foot on campus. You went to him in big moments over a 3-year span, and he made big plays for you over those 3 years. He also never dropped the ball. I mean, obviously he has a few drops, but I mean, you know what I mean. It seemed like he rarely dropped the football. He always made the play when you need to. He's also somebody who's very aware of that 1st down line. I mean, go back and watch the tape of Mason Taylor. He's the guy that catches the ball, gets upfield, and is like, I got to get to the first down line. Do I stick out the ball here? Do I lean this way? Mason Taylor is a little bit better after the catch than a lot of people realize. And I mean, who better to compliment him than a guy like Travis Kelce who, what do you think of the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, whatever? Travis Kelce is one of the best tight ends to ever play in the NFL. That is high praise right there. I think whoever grabs Mason Taylor is going to get an absolute steal in this draft. All right, that's going to wrap up hour number 1. In hour number 2, the NFL free agency and trades and whatnot is going wild. Here's why the Saints need to jump at this opportunity, I think. Also, an NFC South rival is linked to a very, very popular corner in free agency. Why that could be trouble for the Saints. Then at 8:30, Bill Bender of the Sporting News is going to hop on. He put out a great article projecting the entire 68-team field for March Madness. We'll break that down as well. And then we're going to have some fun here in hour number 3. Again, hour number 2 coming up. We'll have Saints at the top of the hour. We'll talk to Bill Bender at 8:30. That's all coming up. So stay tuned for more Off the Bench here on 104.5 ESPN.
Off the Bench.
Picture your dream bathroom. Got it? How about making it happen with David Duvall and One Bath and Closets? For more than 3 decades, David's been remodeling homes with a concentration on the most popular room in your home, your bathroom. Whether it's a tub-to-shower conversion or a complete renovation, the great thing about One Bath and Closets is that David handles everything. One company, one contractor, One Bath and Closets. Check out the gallery of his most recent projects and schedule your free in-home consultation online at onebathandclosets.com. That's onebathandclosets.com.
Sign up for P.F. Chang's Rewards today. Get exclusive offers, earn Chang's cash, and get yourself a free dessert on your birthday. You can sign up online or the next time you visit, ask your server. We're in Town Center off Corporate Boulevard. Look for the giant golden horse. Happy 10th anniversary to Vex European. That's 10 years of service, 10 years of specialization, 10 years of Vexpertise. If you drive a European vehicle, check them out online at vexeuropean.com. Vexeuropean.com. That's Vex with a V.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances.
Let's go! All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah!
Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Hey, they said I gotta come off the bench.
Now, here's Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Welcome in. Hour number 2, Friday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you, filling in for Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert. Really quick, hour number 1 there. We talked a little LSU football as it appears Kyle Williams will be named the next LSU D-line coach. We previewed LSU versus North Alabama. Look, it's not about North Alabama. It's about LSU fixing these mental mistakes. And then Travis Kelce apparently had really high praise for former LSU tight end Mason Taylor. We kind of dove into that as well. Right now, look, the NFL free agency is now going to be underway. The trade rumors are swirling. And a lot of big-name guys are requesting trades at positions of need for the New Orleans Saints. Could they dive into any of them? We talked about Joey Bosa a little bit yesterday and whether or not the Saints would kick the tires on that. I want to kind of look at the pass catchers here. So a report came out yesterday that DK Metcalf has requested a trade from the Seattle Seahawks. DK Metcalf, big name, made a lot of big plays, played in a lot of big games. He's been in the NFL for 6 years. He has 6,300 yards and 48 touchdowns. He's explosive. He's 6'3", he's 240 pounds. He runs a 4.3. I mean, he's a freak athlete. Could the New Orleans Saints trade for DK Metcalf? No. Why? Because the Saints are broke. He is just too expensive. He's going to want a new deal when he gets out of Seattle. And look, his current deal, I mean, he makes a lot. He enters the final year of a 3-year, $72 million extension that he signed in 2022. He's set to make over $18 million in 2025. The Saints are at least going to have to take on most of, if not all of that $18 million, and he's going to want to restructure his deal. I just don't think you have the money to sign a DK Metcalf. Would I love DK Metcalf? Sure, but you don't have the money to do it. Also, with Derek Carr as your quarterback and a sketchy offensive line, is it worth paying DK Metcalf at this point? I guess is my main question. Because the Saints offense is not going to be good with or without DK Metcalf. Why are you going to spend $18 million on a guy? Put yourself even further into cap hell. It's going to be even harder to get out of. And you're only going to have him for a season because realistically, you're not going to be able to re-sign him with your current cap situation. He would be a 1-year rental to prove that you're in win-now mode on a team that's not good enough to be in win-now mode. How about his teammate? How about Seahawks wide receiver Tyler Lockett? The Seahawks have released Tyler Lockett. Should there be interest from the New Orleans Saints? Maybe, but probably only in the short term. So I'll explain. Lockett's a little bit older. He's 32 years old. Look, in 10 years in Seattle, he's had 8,600 yards and 61 touchdowns. He's been awesome. He's made a lot of big-time plays. How much longer can he produce, though, at his size, being 32 years old? He's only 5'10". He's 180 pounds. Also, this past season, this was his lowest receiving total since 2017. And he played in almost all of the games. He had 600 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. Because he was already splitting time with DK Metcalf as far as who's going to be wide receiver 1 that day. Then they draft Jackson Smith and Jigba, who had like 1,100 yards receiving this year. So he just kind of fell out of favor. He's an older guy. Now, if you need somebody you can line up in the slot that has sure hands, that's still got some speed on him, I think Tyler Lockett's a good option. But again, you would be investing into Tyler Lockett for the short term. And he'd be a lot cheaper than his counterpart DK Metcalf. 1, you wouldn't have to trade for him and give anything up. 2, he's 32 years old. He's coming off of a down year. I think you could get him on the cheap, but what would be the point? I mean, I see the Saints right now as a 2, maybe even 3-year rebuild. Is Tyler Lockett going to be a productive player in 2 or 3 years? And he could probably make some things happen for you this year, but in 3 years, he'll be 35 years old. He'll be a 5'10", 35-year-old wide receiver. I don't know if he's worth signing long term. Now, if you want to bring in a guy and you think you need that much help this year at wide receiver, I'm fine with a Tyler Lockett because I think you could get him for cheap. Now, the guy I really wanted the Saints to go get has since been snatched up by the Houston Texans. The Jacksonville Jaguars Wednesday announced that they were going to release Christian Kirk. Well, that's somebody that the Saints should be all over, right? I mean, look at Christian Kirk. He's under 30 years old. He's still been a pretty productive receiver. Now, he signed a big contract 2 years ago, and since then, he's been in and out of the lineup. But his last full season, playing in all 16 or 17 games, he had over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. He was really good. Enter, though, Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis, he's a fine number 2, but Brian Thomas proved last year he could be the number 1 option. Christian Kirk's a guy that's going to line up in the slot. He's not going to beat anybody deep out wide. The Saints do need a slot receiver. So when I saw that, I'm like, hey, this is a guy who's 27 years old. He's been productive in both Arizona and Jacksonville. Sure, he's had a little bit of injury issues, but when he's on the field, he's productive. And they're releasing him. He's not on that current contract. You're not going to have to trade for him. Would he take a little bit less money? Well, it doesn't matter now because the Houston Texans have traded for Christian Kirk. That kind of tells us the future of Stephon Diggs. In Houston, I think that's over with. Stephon Diggs is set to be a free agent. Speaking of Stephon Diggs, look, when you look at the free agency for wide receivers, you have Devontae Adams, you have Stephon Diggs, you have Chris Godwin. Those are all great names. And I've heard a lot of Saints fans say, hey, could you go sign Devontae Adams on a 1-year deal, reunite him with Derek Carr? You could, but again, kind of like a Tyler Lockett. Now, he's a lot better than Tyler Lockett, sure, but he's over 30 years old. He's going to be very expensive, and you'll likely have him for no more than 2 years. Is your roster good enough to win for the next 2 years? I don't know. We'll see how quick the Kellen Moore turnaround is, but are you going to spend that much money on Devontae Adams when your quarterback is still Derek Carr? You still don't believe he's the long-term answer at quarterback. I think the Saints have kind of made that clear, even though Mickey Loomis says, we're rolling with him in 2025. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I think Kellen Moore is going to want to bring in his own guy. So even if you sign Devontae Adams, him and Derek Carr might only play with each other for 1 year. And let's just call it like it is. The Saints aren't winning anything this year. Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, they're a little bit on the older side. Those two guys are going to want to go to a contender, right? They're going to be, quote-unquote, ring chasing at this point in their career. And I totally understand that. They've been productive players for a number of years. They've never been able to get over the hump in the playoffs. Those guys want to go ring chase, more power to them. But then you also have Chris Godwin, who is now an unrestricted free agent who was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Saints fans know Chris Godwin well. He is a heck of a football player. He is still under 30 years old. He has dealt with a lot of injuries the last 3 seasons. But guys, when he is on the field, he is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Look, I like Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is a really underrated wide receiver in this league. I'm not sure who was the more talented of the two in Tampa Bay, whether it was Evans or Chris Godwin. Evans was the more consistent of the two, but Godwin, I mean, he would have games where he was unguardable. I mean, he'd have games where he had 150 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. He did that multiple times. And he's done it with essentially 3 different quarterbacks. Here's the problem with Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, and Chris Godwin. A lot like DK Metcalf, they're all flat out too expensive. I don't think the Saints can afford them. They can't afford Chris Godwin because he's probably going to be the hottest commodity on the open market in terms of free agent wide receivers. Because, again, he's the youngest of the 3. And, yes, he's had some injury issues, but he's only 29 years old. I think he still has a lot of football left in front of him. If he could stay healthy, he's super productive. I think he's going to command probably the most money out of the 3 of the guys I just mentioned. But then also, Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs, not only are they expensive, they're on the back half of their career. We saw Stephon Diggs, even when he was healthy in Houston, was not the same player we saw in Buffalo. Which is part of the reason Buffalo agreed to part ways with him. Devontae Adams has been good, but is he worth signing for 2 years when he's going to ask for a lot of money that you probably can't afford, and you're really not in win-now mode? I do think the Saints need a pass catcher, though. And we may have found one. also coming from the Jacksonville Jaguars, ironically. This news broke last night about 8 o'clock. The Jacksonville Jaguars plan to release tight end Evan Ingram. This is a move that will save the Jags about $6 million a year. This comes on the same day that the Jaguars announced they were trading Christian Kirk to the Houston Texans. So they're freeing up a lot of money. They've actually freed up a combined $13 million against the cap with all the moves that they have made yesterday. Look, Ingram is 30 years old. He signed a 1-year, $9 million contract with Jacksonville back in 2022. When he did that, that was a 1-year prove-it deal. He set career highs, 73 catches, 766 yards that season. They used the franchise tag on him. They worked out a deal before camp. Following season, Evan Ingram caught 114 passes, 963 yards, and 4 touchdowns in the first year of his new deal. Last season, he missed 8 games because of hamstring and shoulder injuries. He finished with just 47 catches, 365 yards. But that was in 9 games. Still pretty productive. If you remember, he's a guy that was with the Giants. He was productive there as well, and he didn't have a whole heck of a lot of work with quarterback-wise. I mentioned he took that 1-year prove-it deal. And it worked out for him with the Jaguars. Would he take a 1-year prove-it deal again? Because this is a team in the New Orleans Saints that desperately need a tight end. Juwan Johnson's going to be an unrestricted free agent. Do you want to re-sign him? Foster Moreau's in the last year of his contract. You still have Taysom Hill under contract, which, like, he's injured, but you can't really trade him either, and he's 35 years old. And also, Taysom Hill is not a traditional tight end anyways. We've seen a lot of people mock Tyler Warren at 9 overall to the New Orleans Saints, which, frankly, I would be happy with. I think Tyler Warren's a heck of a player. But the Saints need so much. If they can get any sort of help in free agency to kind of eliminate one of their needs in the NFL draft, you should do it. Again, he made a lot of money. He's 30 years old. He's been a productive player. But the last time he took a prove-it deal was when the Giants agreed to release him. He goes to Jacksonville. He set career highs. He got a big contract down the road. So he's bet on himself once and it's worked out. Would he be willing to bet on himself again? Because if he is, if I'm the Saints, I'm calling him up today. You need a tight end. You don't have to worry about re-signing Juwan Johnson. You can go get Evan Ingram, who, I mean, I think everyone would agree is definitely a step up from Juwan Johnson. And you can take Tyler Warren off the board. As good of a tight end as he is. And maybe you still want a tight end down the road. This is a pretty deep tight end class. We broke it down the other day. I mean, you got Mason Taylor, who could be rounds 2 or 3. We just talked about him. You got Harold Fannin Jr., who might be there like round 4 or 5. He led all tight ends in basically every receiving category. I get it, he didn't have a great pro day, but he's a guy that was super productive at college. So if you still want a tight end, you can get one later in the draft. But if you go get an Evan Ingram now, you completely flip your strategy for round 1. You can take Tyler Warren off your board. You don't need him anymore. Then you can focus on, do I want to Tetaroa McMillan and further strengthen my receiving core? Or do I want to go D-line? Do I want to go edge rusher? Do I want to go safety? Another position that you desperately need if you're the New Orleans Saints. I'm not saying Evan Ingram's going to be a franchise-changing player, but if the Saints are able to get a 1-year prove-it deal done with Evan Ingram, which we've seen that he's able to take before, and it's worked out for him in the past, I think you got to go do it. Because, again, it doesn't put you over the top, but it makes your picture for the NFL draft a lot more clear. And the Saints need all the help they can get because they basically need help at every single position. All right, look, we're going to take a quick time out. When we get back, a Pro Bowl cornerback is now a free agent, and he's being linked to an NFC South rival. I'll explain why that's bad news for the Saints coming up here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
BoudreauxElectrical.com, but also just type in whatever your search engine is. You can type in Boudreaux's Electrical, and you'll see the reviews that they get, right? 5 out of 5. There's no 4 stars. There's no 3 stars. There's no 2 stars, speaking of recruiting. It's only 5 stars. And we did this, I'd say 3 weeks ago, and it was like, I had like 49 reviews. It's over 70-something right now, just 3 weeks later, because you're hearing about Boudreaux's. They've been doing this for so long, and you know what you are going to get every single time. You're going to get a 5-star effort and a 5-star player every single time from Boudreaux's. So check those reviews out on Google. Also, go to their website, BoudreauxElectrical.com. You can set up your appointment. You can see their contact information. It's right there in the bottom right corner of the website, BoudreauxElectrical.com. More power, more protection.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
You work hard every day to pursue a life you love. You put in the time, and it shows. You're forging ahead, chasing a dream, creating something better for the ones you love. You're building your own life. So why not build your own tractor? With John Deere tractors and attachments for almost any need, the Sunshine team can help you do just that. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343.
Took my love, took it down. I climbed a mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection.
Welcome back to the best morning sports show around. Sorta. It's Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Welcome back in. Friday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you. In for Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert. San Francisco 49ers are set to lose a lot of players in free agency, potentially, whether it's Hufanga, who we talked about the other day. But another name hitting the free agency market is Charvarius Ward. And the guys over at the Sporting News believe that the Buccaneers have a strong chance of landing Charvarius Ward in free agency. This is not good news for the Saints, because here's why. If the Bucs would do that, it would be interesting because their offense was so good last year. It was top 5 in passing and rushing in the NFL. That means a few things for the Saints. One, it increases the importance of re-signing Paulson Adebo in free agency. Because if Charvarius Ward comes off the board this early, more and more people are going to be knocking on Paulson Adebo's door. You have to re-sign a guy like that. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. Your cornerback room, at least up front, is pretty deep. Paulson Adebo, Alante Taylor, Kool-Aid McKinstry. But outside of that, you don't have them a lot. So you have to re-sign him. Also, it makes adding a pass catcher even more important. If you remember the game where Spencer Rattler went off, it was against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right before halftime. Spencer Rattler was able to have success against that defense because the Bucs' defense wasn't great, especially in the secondary. Again, offense top 5 in passing and rushing. It was their defense that let them down. You have to keep pace in the NFC South. You have to re-sign Paulson Adebo. The Bucs already had a better offense than you last year, and they're likely going to have a better offense than you again this year because they're going to keep Mike Evans. They have their quarterback locked in long term. Bucky Irving was the best rookie running back in the NFL last season. But it's not just the Bucs. Other teams in the NFC South are passing you. The Bucs have a long-term answer at quarterback. We'll see with the Falcons and Panthers. Falcons are going with Michael Penix Jr. He showed sparks last year. He was inconsistent, but he was a rookie. If he takes that step year 2, then do the Falcons have a better quarterback than you? At least long-term, after you move on from Derek Carr? And then what about the Carolina Panthers? The Panthers are a team that, look, they grabbed Bryce Young. I thought it was a mistake. A lot of other people did, and then they started getting clowned after year 1 under Bryce Young, saying, oh, you should have taken C.J. Stroud. Look how good C.J. Stroud's been. And I get that. Bryce Young was really bad as a rookie, and he was bad for basically the first half, maybe 2/3 of the season last year. But hiring Dave Canales as their head coach last year was an excellent move for the Carolina Panthers because Dave Canales was actually the quarterback's coach in Seattle the year Geno Smith turned everything around. Then he goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, turns things around for Baker Mayfield. He gets hired as the coach for the Carolina Panthers, and you see Bryce Young struggle out the gate. They go to Andy Dalton. Dalton goes down with injury. They go back to Bryce Young, and what do you see? You see a huge improvement from Bryce Young. Now, look, is Bryce Young the future of this franchise? Is Bryce Young a franchise quarterback? Is he one of the best players in the NFL? No, maybe not. I mean, we'll see, but the reality is he's gotten better. Have the Saints gotten better at quarterback in the last year and a half? No, they haven't. As a matter of fact, they've probably gotten worse. Because Derek Carr's in, year 11, 12 in the NFL? Derek Carr's not going to take a significant jump. Kellen Moore, no Kellen Moore. Doug Nussmeier, no Doug Nussmeier. Derek Carr is what he is. So the Falcons, they have a young quarterback in Michael Penix. They're hoping he could take a step forward. Panthers have Bryce Young. He's already taken a little bit of a step forward. Can he take another jump under a really good quarterback and offensive coordinator in Dave Canales, who is his head coach? You have to get better at every other position this offseason, whether it's pass catcher, whether it's a defense, so that the next quarterback you bring in is ready to roll day one. I know that's a lot of pressure to put on a young guy, but that's what has to happen. Because you're getting passed up in the NFC South. You're already passed up by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's going to be hard to catch them. That's why they've won the division 4 years in a row with 2 different quarterbacks. Falcons, I didn't think they were good on paper. I thought Kirk Cousins was going to be a lot better than he was, but Falcons were still better than you a year ago. You were able to rely on the Carolina Panthers kind of being the doormat of the NFC South for a number of years now. What happens if Bryce Young continues to trend in the right direction? I think he's only going to get better under Dave Canales. Now, do I think Bryce Young is going to be the long-term answer in Carolina? No, I don't. I don't think Bryce Young's a very good quarterback. I've said that multiple times on this show. I stand by that. But can he be a competent quarterback? Dave Canales is a good enough offensive coordinator, at least he was in Tampa, to make everything fit perfectly around the quarterback. That's why Baker Mayfield was so efficient 2 years ago. He still had a good year this year, but his interception numbers were way up without Dave Canales. Can Dave Canales not necessarily turn him into a Mayfield, but can he turn Bryce Young into Geno Smith, who he's worked with? Geno Smith had a really good year under Dave Canales. Seahawks made the playoffs that year. Can he do that with Bryce Young? If he can, the Saints are kind of getting left behind. The Saints for so many years, even post Drew Brees, post Sean Payton, when they've struggled at quarterback, their cap situations have been bad. They've missed on draft picks. One thing has played in your favor. You play in the NFC South. You've had the privilege of playing in possibly the easiest position in the division in the NFL for multiple years now. But if the Bucs get better on the defensive side of things, the Falcons figure it out with Michael Penix Jr., and Bryce Young shows that he can be a competent NFL quarterback, that may not be the case for much longer. It may be a case of, are the Saints the new Carolina Panthers? Because they have a quarterback, but he's not going to take you anywhere. You don't know who your quarterback of the future is going to be. You don't have a lot of money to spend in free agency this year. You have to hit on your draft picks, and Saints have been hit and miss there at best. They've had more first-round misses than they've had hits over the years, for sure. You have to do something in free agency, whether it's receiver, bringing back Paulson Adebo. You have to fill every single position, and you have to hit on your draft picks. Because if you don't, you're going to get left behind in the NFC South. It's not going to become an easy division, and you're going to very quickly become the worst team in that division, and you're going to be in NFL purgatory for a number of years. All right, look, we're going to take a quick break right now, a little bit of a shorter segment there. When we get back, Bill Bender of the Sporting News put out a March Madness prediction bracket. We're going to talk about that for a little bit. Team down the road in Lake Charles, well represented in that one. We'll get into that as well. That's coming up on the other side here on Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench.
All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. If you're buying new, if you're leasing, if you're renting, and we've been telling you over the last couple of weeks, and well, next week is here, but if you've got a trip for Mardi Gras break, it is not too late. Call Miss Lisa Sessions today in the rental department, and if you need a midsize SUV, a full-size SUV, van, truck, hybrid, sedan, doesn't matter. Everything's available in that rental process, so make sure to get that done. But of course, if you're buying new or leasing, well, actually, maybe not leasing. Maybe you go some places and you only have like 3 options, one in each category. That's not the case over at All-Star. T-Bob and I have both taken full advantage of the rental process, leasing a vehicle, buying new. All 3, everything's going to be available. And we always tell you they have something for everybody. No matter what your needs are, what your family's needs are, they have got you taken care of. So go check out the full selection of vehicles at All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact.
Happiness hit her like a train on a track.
Welcome back to the best morning sports show around. Sorta. It's Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Welcome back in. Friday edition of Off the Bench. Guys, next segment, got something for Alondra and Cassie. Very interesting sporting event that is not what you guys may think it is. Occurred last week in Louisiana. They actually did it out at L'Auberge in Baton Rouge. I can't wait to talk about it. It's the Louisiana Truck Driving Championships that occurred. If this doesn't scream South Louisiana, I don't know what does. Guys, they give out a Rookie of the Year for this event. It is one of the most phenomenal things I've read about. I'm excited. Have a little fun there. Talking about that. Right now, though, we have Bill Bender with the Sporting News joining us right now. Bill, how are you? Thanks for hopping on this morning.
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Bill, you're a guy from the Sporting News that you dip your toes in a lot of different sporting waters, right? And I saw yesterday morning that you had your latest March Madness bracket predictions for this upcoming 4 in, first 4 out, all that. I want to kind of pick your brain on that a little bit. Yesterday in this very seat, I sat here and I said, I think 3 have those as 3 of your 4 1 seeds. The 4th 1 seed is the one that I want to get into because coming into the year, I don't know how many people expected it. In Florida as your final 1 seed, what has made the Gators so good this year?
Guard play, and they get up and down, and, Walter. As you know, in the NCAA tournament, guard play, survive and advance in this SEC. All of these teams are battle tested, but I will admit there's a little bit of flavor of the week. Who's hot this week? It was Alabama 3 weeks ago, Tennessee last week, and now it's Florida, and that's what's going to make that SEC tournament so fun.
As far as the SEC goes, Bill, you have 13 SEC teams in your projection. You have Texas right there in the hunt as well. Is this the best basketball conference in the country this year?
It's the deepest one.
Yeah.
And again, when you're playing all the way down to Kentucky being around a 4, and they're like 8 or 9 in the conference, it's really wild. And that bubble, I think the SEC tournament bubble is going to be a lot of fun to sort out with Texas and Oklahoma and Arkansas even. I think they're safe, but you take it down to Vanderbilt. I mean, it's quality basketball night in, night out. And I think as far as, the whole realignment thing, adding Texas and Oklahoma probably made it a little bit deeper than the Big 12 is.
As far as the SEC teams go, because look, we here in Baton Rouge, our basketball team is awful. Want to give you a little bit of a spoiler there, Bill, if you haven't been paying attention. They're SEC bottom feeders. It's not looking good for them. But as far as the conference as a whole go, look, we know the Auburns, the Floridas, the Alabamas. Is there an SEC team that may be a little bit under the radar you think could maybe make a run in the tournament?
Well, first with LSU, I mean, you could take solace that even up here in Ohio, we recognize that you have 3 of the coolest college basketball players of all time in Maravich, Shaq, and then I liked Chris Jackson growing up. I'm that old, so he was really good. So maybe someday, right? You can get back to that. As far as an SEC team that could make a run, I mean, I'm looking at Ole Miss. They've won some games in there. Chris Bear's done a nice job. They play that tough stuff. He's experienced when it comes to making tournament runs. And, for the state of Mississippi, what a year. Mississippi, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State, they're both really good. So I think they're a couple teams to watch. Don't just pass over them when you're filling out your bracket.
Bill, as far as SEC goes, I think maybe the surprise team of the year, I mean, Georgia's certainly one of them, but the Missouri Tigers, the job that staff has done up there in Columbia, what have you made of the Missouri Tigers this year?
They're going to be a fun team in the tournament because they get up and down. They don't, their defense isn't great, but they could get in one of those tournament games where they're playing to 95, and then you're like, man, this was one of the best games ever. Kind of like Florida and Colorado last year. And that's the other part of this is the SEC teams, not only are they good, they can score, all of them. So, but when you get in the tournament, styles make fights, and, there's a lot of different styles that come into play in the tournament. You could catch a slow down team. How does Auburn react to playing Houston? I don't know. Houston's defense is the best in the country. So, if those matchups materialize, you got to understand that the styles can dictate how a game goes, especially in the tournament where I think one of the biggest things about the NCAA tournament is the team, because of the way the game is now. I think I always look at a couple things. I look at free throw shooting. I look at which teams defend the three-point line well. And then I look at turnovers. Turnovers can change it. Those are three statistics that I think really matter in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Houston, Bill, that kind of gets me into the next point. You mentioned best defense in the country. They were number one in team defensive efficiency and in all the rankings and analytics you want to dive in. How far can this team go? I get that their offense, isn't great, but it's actually a little bit better than they have been in recent years.
Yeah, they've spoiled us a little bit. I mean, you go on autopilot when you look at Houston. This will be their third straight year as the number one seed, more than likely. I mean, that's an accomplishment for Kelvin Sampson. The way that they do play defense, guard the perimeter. And sometimes they have rough shooting. Last year they had a key injury, and that didn't help. But this is a team that absolutely, looking to break through and looking to break through the last 3 years. Now, what can they do? They can win it all. But, I mean, what's the ceiling on them? They've done the Final Four thing. They've done the Elite Eight thing. I think it's for Kelvin Sampson, the ultimate redemption would be – not redemption, but the ultimate prize would be to win a national championship.
Bill look, Pelicans fans here in Louisiana, we haven't had a lot to cheer about in a number of years, but a lot of fans down here are hoping that New Orleans can get the number one pick, and the reason is because of a guy named Cooper Flagg. What have you made of him this year at Duke as a freshman?
Yeah, the whole capture the flag thing is starting in the NBA. I like that. He's amazing. Well, number one, he's really well-rounded, awesome basketball player who's ahead of his age. Fantastic rebounder. Which does it all, assists, rebounds, scores, dunks, when you name it, he can do it. I think I was just having this conversation on a thread with a couple friends. I said, is he the first likable Duke superstar that we've had? And he might be. I go all the way back to Danny Ferry. I remember watching him play. I mean, I haven't seen a guy like this at Duke where he's really, really good and not hated by everyone. So I think that's a good thing. I think they're built to make a tournament run. They are young. I always pause. When you have freshmen, you have to be truly special. A guy like Anthony Davis, Carmelo Anthony, they've made that run as freshmen. And I think with this group at Duke, Cooper Flagg is entirely capable of doing that. Fantastic player. Love watching him.
It's so funny you just mentioned that. I was thinking that exact same thing the other day because I have sat down and made it a goal to watch Duke with Cooper Flagg, and I really like Cooper Flagg. And to your point, I've always been they always call the Duke haters. I've been a Duke hater for a number of years. Whether it was Grayson Allen, you go back to the Leitner days. There's always this guy who's the star at Duke that nobody likes. Cooper Flagg's not like that. I don't know if it's because Coach K's not there and people don't look at him as quote unquote as dominant as they used to be. But no, I agree with you. I mean, Cooper Flagg has kind of captured everyone in the college basketball world, grabbing their attention. Bill Bender joining us right now of the Sporting News. Bill, LSU's basketball team may be in the cellar, but a team down the road in Lake Charles is not. I'm sure to the dismay of a bunch of Tiger fans. What have you made of the job Will Wade's done at McNeese, and what do you think of that team heading into the tournament?
They're going to be a dangerous 12 seed. You're going to have to pick your 12 seed, and as long as they win their conference tournament, right? So McNeese, Drake, UC San Diego. Those are the three I've got my eye on. I love conference tournament weekend.
Yeah.
I went to a MAC school, so, you appreciate it a little more because the stakes. You got to win the tournament to get in. And I think McNeese is a team that we'll see if they can bust somebody up in the first round. If they catch the right matchup, they certainly can. I know their equipment manager's gone viral, and that'll be a story next week. But yeah, Will Wade's done a nice job there. This isn't the first year they've done that, so I think I'll keep an eye on them. One thing to keep in mind, I was doing some research on this last night. 11 seeds are actually the better bet than the 12 seeds. They won 3 games last year. 11 seeds have won 40% of the time since the tournament expanded in the first round. That is a wild stat to me. You know what I mean? Like, you're getting 40% out of an 11 seed. So if McNeese is an 11 seed, I'll pencil them right into the second round.
How deep, realistic? Because I get it. McNeese has had a great season. They had a great season last year as well. Southland, not exactly the toughest basketball conference, but like, how deep could you actually see that team going?
I mean, they could be a second weekend team, but remember, when you fill out your bracket, I always tell people that you get one, but it's really tough to get that double-digit seed into the Sweet 16. I do remember when Ohio University did it. That's where I went to school. They did it, and they beat Michigan, and they cut a break, and they did catch it. They have to catch a break. Like, we caught a break and caught South Florida in the second round. They pulled an upset, so we upset them. And then end up playing North Carolina in the Sweet 16. And that's the thing. To me, if McNeese were to go to Sweet 16, I promise you, for that fan base, it would feel like a Final Four.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Look, as far as Will Wade goes, look, everybody here in Baton Rouge knows what occurred and how his time here ended. You know, there's always been this kind of black cloud over Will Wade ever since. But look, if he gets this McNeese team to the NCAA tournament, I mean, are some of the big boys going to come knocking on his door again?
Right. It is. And, I think I know there's some baggage there, but, Sean Miller got another job, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's back at Xavier, and, Bill Self never really got fired. So, I mean, from that skin, and I think the landscape of college basketball with, now that we're in the NIL age, I think a lot of that's being not redacted or forgotten about, but certainly something where, the game's changed a little bit. And I think he may get another look because it's another one of those deals where X's and O's wise, really good at it. And I look no further than, to me, other than Cooper Flagg, the largest story on the tournament is going to be the Rick Pitino angle. St. John's and what they've been able to do and how well they've played. They can't shoot the three very well, but they play awesome defense. And for Rick Pitino, who, again, I'm 45 years old. I remember being in high school watching those Kentucky teams. It's cool to see them and him do his thing. And obviously he's had to go through some things.
Speaking of St. John's, look, we know St. John's, right? I mean, they've been in the top 10 in the polls this year. Rick Pitino's done an excellent job. Maybe outside of St. John's, because that's probably going to be everybody's pick as far as like a mid-major to make a run. Maybe outside of St. John's, who do you like mid-major-wise?
Well, I think those Big East teams, you never can count out UConn, right? I think they've had ups and downs this year, but, who does anybody really want to play them in the first or second round? It depends on what you qualify as a mid-major. I know Memphis has had a really good year, and they have Haggerty when you have a scorer that can score 20-plus points a game. Penny Hardaway, they haven't had the best tournament runs, but I think they're a team, again, with their athletic ability, they can make a run as well. So, I mean, I've got those two kind of circled. I know the Mountain West is going to have a hard time getting multiple teams in, like 3 or 4, but New Mexico with Richard Pitino. Yeah, the Pitino family should be paying me at this point for being their PR people. But, I mean, that's a nice team as well. They've won the conference in the regular season, looking to make a run in the tournament. Probably going to get some seed disrespect. And then I forgot about St. Mary's. The Gales are having a fantastic – it's normally Gonzaga's spot, but that's the Gales this year. They look equipped for a deep run.
Bill, before I get you out of here, if you had to pick right now, like let's say Bill Bender's filling out his bracket, who do you like to win it all?
I'll probably pick Duke, but I do that every year. I've done that every year since 1992. So, yeah, Duke. I think that mix, but it does feel a little bit like that year when they had Zion Williamson and R.J. Barrett, where I did it that year, and they end up playing Michigan State in the Elite Eight, and Michigan State is one of those You just never want to see them. I can't believe I haven't mentioned them to this point. Spartans are having a fantastic year this year with Tom Izzo. He's got a very experienced team that they're playing well together. Watch them just dismantle Michigan last week. So I would probably pick Duke, and it would be, St. John's, Auburn, Florida, maybe Michigan State and Auburn. Those are the teams I'm looking at, depending on who plays who, to make the Final Four.
Bill Bender of the Sporting News. Bill, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on. Take care.
Yep, absolutely. All right, look, when we get back, pretty unique event occurred in Baton Rouge last week that I had no idea about. I want to get Alondra and Cassie's thoughts on it as well. That's coming up here on the other side, and then we're going to kick off hour number 3 after that. That's coming up here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
Hey, it's Gordy Rush, and one thing for sure, my friends at Gulf Coast Bank and Trust have the tools you need from a bank to help you reach your goals. Whether your business is planning its next big step or just taking its first, you can benefit from Gulf Coast Bank and Trust's knowledgeable bankers, their personal service, easy-to-use technology, and business solutions. So get to know the local bank that cares about you. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Darren James & Associates, powered by LPT Realty, commit to excellent service unlike any other. Darren and his team save buyers as much money as possible. If you're ready to buy or sell your home, call Darren James or visit agent225.com. Hey, it's Matt Moscona. If you missed the show, you can always check it out on demand at 1045ESPN.com, the 1045 ESPN app, or the After Further Review YouTube channel. AFR On Demand, brought to you by Breck Golf. Book your tee time today at golf.breck.org.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart
Welcome back to the best morning sports show around. Sorta. It's Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to pelicanroof.com, pelicanroof.com. One of just the coolest tools that you will see out there, right there on the homepage of the website. What will my roof cost? Well, you put it in right there, your address. It's going to pull it up on the map, and it's going to frame your home and give you an estimate right there, like on the spot, of how much they estimate your roof replacement to be. Never really seen anything else like it, just to give you an idea of what you're looking at. And then, right, after you get that and you get that number and you kind of get that information, then you can get in contact with them. Again, pelicanroof.com is the website. In the very top right corner of the website, locations, contact information of how to have them out to your home. And remember, they've got an office in Lafayette. They've got an office in Baton Rouge. You're not driving back and forth. They are there in those local communities. Go to the website today, pelicanroof.com.
What a song, Alondra. I mean, I know everybody compliments your taste in bump music. That's always one of the better ones you play right there.
I love Linger. Love the Cranberries. They're great.
The first movie I ever heard this song in was Click. I don't know if you guys remember the scene. Cassie, have you even seen Click?
No, I don't know what that is.
Oh my gosh.
See, we're already getting too old to where coworkers we work with didn't watch the movies we watched
I
growing
don't
up.
like this.
No, it's awful. Like, okay.
It's not that old of a movie, though. I don't feel like.
When did it come out?
Like in the 2000s, like late 2000s, I think. Or
Click.
maybe 2010. Maybe I'm wrong.
2006. Cassie, what year were you born?
2003.
You would have been, yes, you'd have been 3 years old. Cassie was born in 2003. My younger brother is older than you.
Oh my God.
And we are coworkers. Like, okay, I'm going to be 29 in September. Like,
the end of Click is really sad. Sorry, I just read a comment. The end of Click does make me a little emotional.
How pissed off were you at that movie, right? Because like the first,
it's like funny the entire time.
The first 70% of the movie's great, and it's like, oh, by the way, you got divorced and you have cancer, and then you had a heart attack at your daughter's wedding. Spoiler alert, Cassie. I know you hadn't seen it, but I think
it's Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
All right.
It's an Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler, and then Kate Beckinsale's his wife, and then it's like, oh, all these bad things happen, and then like
he's like, actually, your life sucked.
Yeah. So do you know the plot of it?
No.
Okay.
He has a remote.
So he gets a universal remote that like literally fast forwards time. You can pause it, whatever, because he's like, my life's too busy. He's highly dedicated to his job, doesn't have time for his family and all that. And he's like, okay, well, I'm just fast forward through the bad parts of life. But then the remote like gets a mind of its own, and it's like, no, we're fast forwarding you. We're fast forwarding, and then it jumps like 10 years, and he wakes up and he's got the big promotion that he's always wanted, you know, at his job and everything. But he's like divorced now. He goes home to his house, like his wife is married to another guy now, and like his kids are grown. He missed their childhood and everything. So it's like it's awful, but like the parts of it are so funny. Well, anyways, in the movie, when he gets the remote and it's cool at first, his wife was like, "Oh, this reminds me of our first date. You don't remember the song that was playing?" He's like, "Of course I remember the song that's playing." So he pauses it and he's like, "Take me back to whenever. And it's this. And he goes, "Obviously it's Linger by the Cranberries is playing." He's like, "And you look so good in that whatever dress." And then she's like, "Oh my God, you remember what I was wearing and all that?" Like the movie's got some funny parts, but yeah, golly, that movie pissed me off.
Very, very depressing at the end.
Oh, and he gets the remote from Bed Bath & Beyond, which RIP to Bed Bath & Beyond.
No,
but
they
like,
still got Bed Bath & Beyonds.
Do they?
There's one on
all I know is
Seagan.
the one at Jubin closed. So I
There's
just
one
assumed
in
they owned it.
Seagan by Old Navy. Right? That's a Bed Bath & Beyond.
I don't know.
Like next to Lowe's
Maybe.
and yeah.
Look, the Hooters and Denim survived. The Bed Bath & Beyond at Jubin did not. Okay, that should tell you the priorities of the people of Livingston Parish.
I mean, Hooters is great. You need food to survive. You don't need furniture.
Even if like you're not big on the wings or whatever, like you gotta go to Hooters, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember, oh God, I was probably in 5th grade, and a buddy of mine like wanted to have his birthday party at Hooters, and like all the parents in the class were like, "No, you're not going to." We went to that birthday party, guys. That may have been my first time having fried pickles, and you know what? Hooters was awesome. To this day, my favorite fried pickles because it's the first place I ever had.
Okay, everyone's trying to say that the Bed Bath & Beyond is closed. I'm pretty sure, like, I was just there.
I remember them saying they bankrupted, and all I know is one at Jubin closed. I don't know anything else.
The one in Metairie closed, too.
Okay,
Like
the one in
Metairie. Let me see real fast.
The one in Jubin is like a Barnes & Noble or something now.
That's crazy. I was just over there, and I didn't notice it was closed. I thought I saw people going in there.
I don't know. Maybe it's Adam Sandler. Look, coming up in hour number 3.
It opens at 11 a.m. Oh, no, this is Bath & Body Works. Never mind. Maybe there is no Bath & Beyond.
Bed Bath & Beyond, Bath & Body Works.
thing.
They're all the same thing. By the way, do y'all know why Bed Bath & Beyond went out of business? Because it was friggin' expensive. We went into the one at Jubin right before they closed, and they were like, everything's 50% off. And I was like, that's
crazy.
50%
They always
off?
had coupons.
Well, I clearly didn't go
That's
enough.
why they're out of business.
All right, look, coming up in hour number 3, we're going to have some fun. We'll do Netflix shows. We'll do truck driving championships, all that coming up.
Off the bench.
Go to KTZBlinds.com, KTOZBlinds.com. And I can't tell you enough. And actually, like during the last couple of weeks, our shade has just consistently stayed down that we have in the back of our home. And that's where the sun kind of before we got it just really ruined TV viewing during the day. You're trying to watch like a big NFL game or a big baseball game. LSU's got an early one today and you couldn't get it done. It just wasn't the same, right? You got this huge glare on the TV. Well, I didn't think putting something on the exterior of our home would change the interior of our home, but it has certainly done that. Now it's done its original job. Like Harlow loves going out to our little patio. We dropped the shade down there. She plays out there, absolutely loves it. It's not as hot, it's not bright, but it has changed the dynamic of our entire home. The house is cooler whenever we have the shade down. They'll do it for you as well. K2ZBlinds.com.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. Whole team on wild.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, Know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime. At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
Let's go, baby, let's go! All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah, 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 yeah!
Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah, they said I gotta come off the bench.
Now, here's Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Welcome back in. Friday edition of Off the Bench. We got one more hour to go here on a Friday. Jam-packed show so far, so a little bit of a recap. Hour number one, we're pretty LSU heavy. Me and Alondra did kind of a LSU baseball preview of North Alabama. Really what we wanted LSU to work on because it doesn't really matter that they're playing North Alabama. LSU looks like they're hiring Kyle Williams as their next defensive line coach. And then we did some Saints hour number two. Talked with Bill Bender of the Sporting News. Got a March Madness preview. He had quite the nice things to say about Mr. Will Wade out there at McNeese. I know that wanted to bring that one up. I knew everybody would have an opinion on that one. Look, right now, guys, I wanted to do it last segment, but we kind of got caught up talking about the movie Click of all things. Alondra and Cassie, I don't know if y'all knew this. On March 1st, at LaBerge, a 2-day competition was held, and it was the 2025 Louisiana Truck Driving Championships. How did we miss this? One, I'm very mad that I didn't get to go. Two, how long has this been a thing? They said it's a 2-day competition. It was held at LaBerge. Apparently, they just did it in like a spare parking lot. So, like, it saw 80 truck drivers participate. They had to complete 3 tests, focus on drivers' knowledge and skills. Like, they had a written examination, which took an hour. It focused on knowledge of truck driving injury, first aid, and firefighting, which I did not know that was a thing for truck driving. They had an inspection test. So, and like these were all competitions. Like, if you had the best pre-competition inspection, you won an award for this. They had 7 different categories. I mean, look, they literally gave a mechanics award. It goes to Corey Mitchell of FedEx Freight. They're all sponsored. They're all drivers of a certain company. You got the highest pre-trip inspection score. Like, they give out a Rookie of the Year. They give out a Rookie of the Year at the truck. Shout out Darren Lemoyne, whoever that is. He got Rookie of the Year. Guess who he drives for? Walmart. They win every freaking thing. My main issue is Nicholas, Michael, Darren, Corey, Chad, David, Damian, Larry, Shelton. Where's the truck driver names, guys? I'd see a Clem nowhere in there. Where's Snowman? Where's Rubber Duck? What was Snowman Smokey and the Bandit? I think I'm remembering that correctly.
No idea.
You've never seen Smokey and the Bandit?
Not since I was like a kid.
What? What a classic movie. Smokey and the Bandit is excellent. Cassie, you probably
I've seen it.
never seen Smokey. Yeah,
I've heard of it. I know what it is, but I've never seen it.
I mean, I think it came out before we were born. Truck Driving Championship in Baton Rouge, guys. I am excited about it. What I'm not excited about, Alondra, what's going on with your boy Joey B?
I don't know.
Trey Hendrickson has requested a trade because the Cincinnati Bengals won't pay him. Is this Joe Burrow's fault?
Is it?
Can you fix him?
I mean, I can fix just about anybody.
You can fix just about it. Well, okay, so it came out like right when the season was over. Joe Burrow was like, look, I want Jamar Chase back and I want Trey Hendrickson back.
Yeah.
And I want T. Higgins back. That's fine. You can't have all 3 of these guys back. We talked about the other day. You don't need T. Higgins on this team. T. Higgins is a luxury, not a necessity. He is a phenomenal player. He could be a wide receiver 1 on 80% of the teams in the NFL. The problem is you literally cannot pay everybody. Joe Burrow is one of the top 3 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL, and rightfully so, because I think he's one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL. I think it's Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and then I actually think there's a drop-off to 4. And everybody wants to put Lamar in there, whatever. You're going to re-sign Jamar Chase. He's going to be the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. No question about it. He's probably going to get close to $40 million a year. I mean, he's going to get a bag. Your offense wasn't the problem last year. It was your defense. You had one of the worst defenses in the NFL. And what are you doing? You're letting Trey Hendrickson request a trade because you won't pay him. This is not, he's a Pro Bowl caliber player. Guys, he was a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. I actually think he should have won it instead of Patrick Surtain. Saints fans all the time talk about, you let Trey Hendrickson out of the building, you let Zach Bond out of the building. Yeah, that's because they're both really good players. He was the NFL sack leader a year ago. The NFL sack leader. Think about that for a second. He has 35 sacks over the last 3 seasons. 35. This is not some guy that's just your average run-of-the-mill player. Somebody, I imagine a championship contender, is going to trade for Trey Hendrickson. They're going to give him a long-term deal, and they're going to reap the benefits from this. Obviously, I was being a little bit tongue-in-cheek early. This is not entirely Joe Burrow's fault. However, I do think him publicly saying, I want Higgins and Jamar Chase back, kind of put him in a little bit of a bad spot. Why do you need... Look, we just talked earlier about Christian Kirk, the Texans going to pick him up. Why couldn't the Bengals have made a move like that? A 1-2 punch of Jamar Chase and Christian Kirk is really good, especially if you re-sign a Mike Gesicki. Why do you need T. Higgins on this football team? I don't understand this. Your defense was awful. Guess what? It's about to get a whole lot worse because the only good player on your defense is now going to be wearing a different uniform here in 2025. You just had to cut Alex Kappa. He was a cap hit. Now, Alex Kappa was awful. I mentioned that he actually won the Triple Crown, meaning he had the worst pass blocking rate, the worst run blocking rate, and he gave up the most sacks of any guard in the NFL. It's not an award you want to win, but he did. Congratulations to Alex Kappa. He's gone now. So even though Alex Kappa wasn't good, you still have to replace him. He was still at least a body. You have to go spend money in free agency to re-sign somebody since you're moving on from Alex Kappa. You have to hit on all of your draft picks if you're the Cincinnati Bengals. The only thing keeping the Bengals from becoming the New Orleans Saints is that they have Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. If they didn't have Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, they'd be in the same situation. You cannot re-sign T. Higgins. So let's say they don't. Let's say they don't re-sign T. Higgins. You franchise tagged him for the second year in a row. You can't come to a long-term deal. So after next year, Higgins is gone as well. It reminds me so much of when the Saints let Trey Hendrickson walk out of the building. Why? Because they wanted to keep Marcus Williams. They said that Marcus Williams was their long-term answer at safety. Guess what? Shortly after, Marcus Williams was out of that building. Turns out he wasn't your long-term answer at safety either. The Bengals could be in a very, very similar situation. I don't understand what they're doing. I don't really get what they're doing. I think it's a bad move all the way around. I really do. By the way, Cincinnati has the 17th pick right now in the first round of the NFL draft. Who do you take? You need everything. Because you could say, okay, well, it's easy. They're going to go defense. They're going to go pass rusher. They're going to go safety. Maybe. Your offensive line's bad. You drafted Amarius Mims last year, and he looks like a pretty solid piece. He looks like maybe you hit on that. Outside of him, what do you got? You have nothing. Joe Burrow is going to continue to get injured, making all that money not being able to play because of his offensive line. And now you don't have any defense to back him up. Look at Joe Burrow led the NFL in passing yards and passing touchdowns. And your team didn't make the playoffs because your defense was that bad. What do? No problem, guys. We'll just cut our best defensive player. We'll trade him. But, I mean, what are you realistically going to get into a trade from Trey Hendrickson? Because other teams know two things. They know you're not going to pay him long-term because if you were going to do that, you would have done it by now. And Trey Hendrickson wants out. And whoever trades for him is going to have to give him a long-term extension. What are you going to get for Hendrickson? Second-round pick? Third-round pick? Great. Even if you get a first-round pick, which I don't think you will. Even if you get a first-round pick, you're going to try to replace him with someone that you hope can be a similar player to him. You already have him in the building. And it's not like Trey Hendrickson's in the twilight of his career. Trey Hendrickson is 30 years old. He's a guy that you had in your building. Why are you letting him walk? You don't have any sort of signs of life on that defense. You have to completely rebuild it. You just brought in a new defensive coordinator. Like, honestly, I understand that he went to the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow. If Zach Taylor doesn't make the playoffs this year, Zach Taylor is fired, as well as he should be. Now, I'm not blaming this on him or really not Burrow. That was more to just kind of trigger Alondra a little bit. But the front office, whether it's the owner, the president, the GM, whoever, is mismanaging this team in a really bad way. You're putting your team in a bad spot. Everyone talked about it all the time. Your Super Bowl window was supposed to be Joe Burrow's entire career. Since going to the Super Bowl, he's been to the playoffs one more time. He gave the Kansas City Chiefs all he wanted. I think he should have won that game. The referees had a little bit to say about that. Look, I get it. It's the Kansas City Chiefs bump. We all know about it. He's missed the playoffs back-to-back seasons. And if you're telling me, okay, well, they have the exact same offense they had a year ago. Great, their defense is worse, at least on paper. That doesn't inspire a lot of confidence into me. I'm not even a Bengals fan. No, I mean, we follow Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase because they were so great here as LSU fans, but I don't really understand what they're doing because there's no way Philadelphia lets Zach Bond walk out of that building. They're not going to do it because Howie Roseman is an excellent GM. He's going to do it. If he has to cut someone on the offensive side of the ball to do it, he's going to do it. Because say what you want about Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley, they're great. Your defense was the reason you were as successful as you were this year. Because they didn't have that at the back half of 2023. And that's why you saw the Eagles collapse. They lost 8 of their last 10 games. They got upset in the first round of the playoffs by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They bolstered that defense this year, and they became more of a complete team. This is a team game. The Bengals can have the greatest offense in NFL history. It's not going to matter if you got a bunch of bums and practice squad players on your defense. I don't really understand what management, what ownership is doing with the Cincinnati Bengals, but they need to fix it. If not, they're going to waste the career of a really good quarterback. All right, look, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, we'll talk a little TV shows. Cassie was supposed to do some homework. We're going to see if she actually did that, and we got a lot to talk about. That's coming up on the other side here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench. Maybe you've heard that word of mouth is the best advertising.
At Guarantee Media, we agree.
We have the biggest mouths in town.
4 local radio stations featuring influencers from Baton Rouge.
Local radio speaks to local people.
And our stations have the audience you need.
Our marketing executives will help you fine-tune your message to reach potential customers more effectively.
To learn more,
visit 1045ESPN.com and click Connect. That's 1045ESPN.com and click Connect.
Entergy is celebrating a century of serving Louisiana by ensuring a brighter future for the next generation. We're strengthening 70,000 power poles to withstand stronger storms and reduce outages. We're keeping costs down to keep rates below the national average and helping attract industry to create 100,000 new jobs here. Entergy employees are committed to making Louisiana better because this is our home too. We're from Louisiana and for Louisiana. And together, we power life.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
for over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Parrish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parrishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parrishbuilt.com.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold Refreshment.
Dave's back on.
Coors Light. Choose chill.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler.
Welcome in to the best morning sports-ish show around. Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Another banger. Another banger. What's our theme today?
Well, okay, when I got in the car this morning, Welcome to the Jungle came on, and it got me like super hyped.
As it would.
Well, because then I went to the block this morning too, so I was just like hyped.
Before or after?
It came on after.
See, that's even better because your blood's already flowing at that point, right?
And I had just picked up my coffee and like taken my first sip, and like Welcome to the Jungle came on, and I was like, oh man, I'm lit, right? Like I was lit. But then somebody in the chat said that it's International Women's Day, so then I just changed it to like I'm just playing like some of my favorite girlies.
Guys,
some of my favorite songs that are like girls.
Happy International Women's Day. I knew we suspended Jordan for a reason. Cassie, congratulations.
Yeah.
You got the project mostly done.
Girls are outnumbering the guys.
You had the privilege of waking up at 5 a.m. this morning.
This
Happy
has never
International
happened
Women's
before.
Day.
I'm always so outnumbered in this room. It's 3-1.
3 times this week, too. 3 times this week.
Yeah. That's 2-1.
2-1, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Cassie. Speaking of.
Oh, technically tomorrow is International Women's Day, but
okay, I was weird.
it's
I saw a
fine.
commercial last night, and I'm like, is that today? I feel like we just had that. Did we have some women's thing like a month ago?
No, but that Super Bowl commercial from Nike, are you talking about the Nike one?
Maybe. I saw it last night, too, and I'm like, wait, is it International Women's Day?
I don't know, but I like that Nike commercial.
Maybe that's it. So it played during the Super Bowl?
Yeah, and it was like, they say you can't, so do it, or something like that.
Maybe that's what I was thinking.
I love that commercial. And then it has like Led Zeppelin playing in the background.
Which you hate Led Zeppelin.
I hate Led Zeppelin, yeah, and I hate women too.
I'm Alondra, and I hate women. Cassie, did you do your homework over the weekend? I think I know the answer to this.
I don't remember what homework you're talking about.
I told you. This is a show for you and Adam. Okay, me and Victoria have already finished season 1.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't watch it.
Nobody wants this. You haven't seen...
No. Look, I was out going to parades this past weekend. We already discussed this. So I didn't watch it.
Well...
You're being really aggressive to a woman on
dare
International
you.
Women's Day.
Have you seen it?
Wait, what is it?
It's called Nobody Wants This.
No.
Okay, so it's Kristen Bell.
Yeah.
She's the main character. Her and her sister have... Okay, you've seen Succession, Alondra?
Yes, I love Succession.
Willa from Succession?
Yeah.
She's the sister.
Yeah.
Her and Kristen Bell have this podcast, and it's, one of those raunchy podcasts.
Willa is also on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Which I love.
I've heard
that show.
that's phenomenal.
It's a great show. Amazing show. That's
Brian
your homework.
Haldane was the first one to tell me about that.
That's your homework. Watch Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I love that. I think Victoria would really like it.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's the thing about getting married. I used to never watch any TV shows, and now Victoria's like, do you want to watch this? And I say no, but I always get into it. So it's your typical rom-com, a lot more comedy than romance though. Like it gets a little wild. So basically, Kristen Bell and her sister, who are both, just typical blonde, what you would think. It's a very stereotypical show at the beginning. And they have this kind of raunchy podcast. Well, she starts dating a guy who is a rabbi. So, very Jewish, very church-going. Nobody in their family agrees with her lifestyle. She doesn't, basically, in order for them to get married, she would have to convert to Judaism. She doesn't really want to do that. And then the rabbi's like, well, if I become the head rabbi in my church, which he's about to, I would have to either choose you or her. Or the church. It is such a funny show. I mean, when Victoria told me about it, I'm like, that seems kind of corny. It's awesome. Willa in it, the sister, whatever, she is freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
His brother is awesome. Like, Adam will love this show too, I promise you, because it's a lot more comedy than it is romance. Because all the rom-coms are kind of the same, right? Like you always hear the stereotypical oh, this is whatever. It's awesome. And guys, do I have other big news for you? Love is Blind wedding episodes come out tonight.
Bruh.
We're down to 3 couples now. It was 4, now it's 3. This guy, Dave, total douche. Like just like you could imagine Dave. He was engaged to this girl named Lauren, which the whole premise of the show is stupid because you get engaged, then you're like, all right, now we got to meet and make sure we really want to do this. I feel like you should probably know if you want to do it when you're getting engaged, right? I mean, that's just my opinion on things, but she was like, well, why won't you let me meet your family? Like, his sister, first off, he has this weird obsession with his sister. Like, basically whatever she says goes. Like, it's odd. So he's like, well, my sister didn't think this was a good idea for me to come on the show, so she doesn't want to meet you. She's like, okay, well, like, you did go on the show. Like, we might actually get married here in like 2 weeks. Like, you're not gonna let me meet her? And he's like, no, not really. It's not gonna go well. So they wind up just calling the whole thing off, right? Guys, they go to pick out their wedding dresses. That's supposed to be a special thing, right? They take all 3 of them as a group. Like, you do everything as a group, like, which is fine, but like the guys, they go on their bachelor trip as a group. They take all 3 or 4 of them or whatever. I just don't understand. Like, none of these couples are lasting. I'm telling you, there's one. Joey and Monica. Monica was the one that had the sister that was mad that the younger one's getting married before her. She's the only one. Like, it's one of those things where it's like a train wreck that you can't look away from. I love the show, guys. It's like, I don't even care what happens in the actual pods. I like, after they get out of the pods leading up to the wedding, and then they do the reunion show where they all gather around a table and just kind of talk crap about each other, like right in front of them. That's excellent. Alondra would love those. Like, that is you. So after Love is Blind weddings happen, or don't happen, as we should say, they do a reunion show where like they all invite them basically on a giant talk show. They all sit around the couch. And they just all point the finger and talk crap to each other, like right in front of the other ones. Like, it is phenomenal.
Yeah.
If you do nothing else, go watch that. I mean, it's incredible TV. I cannot look away from it. What are we watching, Cassie? What are you watching?
Currently, I'm watching Gilmore Girls. One of my friends put it on. It's like I like to watch like new TV shows, and there's not really like a new one that's out right now that I want to watch. So one of my friends was like, "You have to watch Gilmore Girls." So currently watching Gilmore Girls, and I'm watching Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares with Adam.
Kitchen Nightmares is so much fun.
That's pretty fun.
It's so much fun. Victoria doesn't like to watch it because like I always put it on like while we're like making dinner.
Yeah.
And Victoria's like, I don't want to watch this while we're making dinner. I'm like, we're not in that kitchen. Like, first off, Gordon Ramsay's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, one of the funniest people. Like, if I could meet a celebrity, like, he'd be in like the top 5. I love Gordon Ramsay.
Cool.
He seems super awesome. Okay, so Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
Every night, Victoria puts on Gilmore Girls, and that's the sound I fall asleep to every single night.
I love it.
Like, she'll put on something else.
I love it.
She'll put on something else. I can't fall asleep to it as much. I've never actually watched it. Like, I'll watch it for like 5 minutes at a time, go to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, even... Okay, so Victoria's sister is getting married at the end of April. They took a bachelorette trip, like, I don't know, January, late January, early February. She went on vacation. I still turned on Gilmore Girls to go to sleep, even when she was gone. She called me. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, putting on Gilmore Girls. She's like, you're watching Gilmore Girls? I'm like, no, not really. Like, it's on for about 5 minutes at a time. I don't really know what it's about. I know there's one girl named Rory.
Yeah.
That's all I know. Is Rory the daughter or the mom?
Rory's the daughter.
Rory's the daughter.
And she's Rory because the mom's Lorelai, so she also named her daughter Lorelai, but Rory's short for it.
I would think Lori would be short for Lorelai, but...
Yeah, but you gotta make it more, like, hip. Lori kind of sounds like an old name.
Lori? Rory's a guy name, right?
Not necessarily.
I mean, I don't know a guy or a girl named Rory, but I've heard of...
I have a friend whose name's Rory. I only know girls named Rory.
Good. Well, hope they're not listening, because let us know. Alondra, you watching anything?
I don't really watch TV like that, but if I do, I've been watching The Traitors. But like shows take me forever to finish because I literally I get home and I don't even want to consume content when I get home because I've been here all day consuming so much content or like creating so much of it that I can't even look at my phone sometimes.
Well, I have a bad habit of like, I'll see like a trailer for a show or a movie or something, and I get really excited about it. I go home, I suggest it to Victoria. I'm like, hey, let's go watch this show. I fall asleep in the first 5 minutes. That is the one thing that just I'm really, really bad at when in terms of like married life. Like sitting down and actually watching something together, I can't do because it's always my idea. But like, guys, I'm telling you, I could be fully awake, most energy I've ever had. I sit down on the couch, turn that TV on, 10 minutes tops, I'm out. Doesn't really matter what type of day it is. It doesn't really matter what kind of day it is. I'm out.
Victoria doesn't yell at you for that?
Oh, she hates it. She will not start shows with me anymore. Like if she starts shows with me, it's like trash TV, like Love is Blind or some crap like that like you don't actually have to be awake for because you kind of know what's going to happen before the season ends. Like that's it. Also, Traitors, you were telling me about that a couple days. That's a reality show.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking this was like murder mystery. I guess just the title.
But it's like a take on murder mystery, yeah. But it's a reality show.
Oh,
it's like
so
a game show.
Somebody's like assigned as the killer, all that kind of thing.
There's like 3 people that are the traitors, and only them 3 know that they're the traitors. And then every night they vote somebody out who they think is the traitor, but the traitor's among them. So like it's just like so funny because everybody starts turning on each other and like they're gaslighting each other, and then the traitors get together and they pick somebody to kill off.
This sounds like a you show. Like I can see you getting into this.
It's so good. So like
they don't actually kill them, right?
No, they give them like a letter, and they're like, "You've been murdered by the traitors" or whatever. So then they have to go home, and then everybody like goes to breakfast the next morning, and they come in like group by group or one by one, and then until somebody is like the last one out and they're like, oh, they're the one that got killed off. And then they're like, why would they kill them off? You had beef with them, so you must be the traitor. Like, it's so good. They start like just turning on each other, so much gaslighting, just so much manipulation. But then they also play like games during it to get more money.
Oh, so it's like a competition style show too. So it's like a super intense version of Big Brother.
I guess so, yeah.
Kinda.
And there's a lot of people. So, like, the first season was like half reality TV people, half normal people, like non-famous people. And then the second season, it was like half gamers, like Survivor, Big Brother, stuff like that.
Oh, like they've been on shows like that before.
Yeah, and then like Bravo, like Housewives or Below Deck and stuff like that. Like, it's just so funny. It's hilarious.
Brenda Song's got a new show.
Yeah. And apparently she knows ball, too.
Dude, do we have that?
Yeah,
ready?
I got it.
All right, let's. I have not heard this yet. Alondra says London Tipton knows ball. Let's hear it.
Would you start a petition to officially rename the gear shift the Prindle?
1,000%. What is the gear shift?
What's your biggest fear?
Oh God, this question?
If you're the Rams defensive coordinator, what would you have done to prevent Saquon Barkley from running for 200 yards in consecutive games?
Well, let me tell you, Chris Shula. I like you a lot. I like what you've done with our front four. But my issue is we don't have a run stopper. And we don't use our middle linebackers in the middle. We can't stop the run. That's our biggest problem besides our O-line. We cannot stop the run. Let's talk about Mike LaFleur and our OC, about our O-line and why Jalen Carter sacked Matthew Stafford, why the Philadelphia score should have been 28-29 and Rams should have been, we would have murdered Commanders. Sorry, love you, love you, Jaden Daniels, but we'd have been the Super Bowl. Okay, continue. Sorry.
Go Birds. What's your greatest regret in life?
Not being an offensive lineman, so I could have protected Matt Stafford from that Jalen Carter sack.
Start bulking up now. You got cake left on your plate.
I mean, let's do it. Bring me that pasta back.
First off,
amazing.
Elite ball knowledge.
Yeah.
Because the fact that she highlighted the specific play, we talked about this exact play when we came back from the divisional round is what it wound up being. If you guys don't remember, that was the snow game. Okay, and it was awful, but like look, going into the playoffs, the Rams were actually my pick to make it to the Super Bowl out of the NFL. Are you okay? Are you dying over there, Alondra? It's International Women's Day. What are we doing? Guys, I look over behind the screen over here, and, like, Alondra, like, chokes and is, like, falling over, and Cassie's laughing at her. What is going on?
Coughing right into the mic.
Everybody's so confused. What?
Just move on.
Anyways, we'll let her get her crap together real quick. God, they're still laughing. It was the play where it was 3rd and like 2 from about the 15-yard line of Philly. And the Rams are down by 4. The Rams are moving the ball. And you have like 1:15 left with 1 timeout. So like it may seem like the clock's winding down, but like you got plenty of time in this game. Instead of running the ball on 3rd down with Kyron Williams, and if you didn't get it, run it again on 4th down, they drop back to pass. Stafford takes a 9-yard loss, and then they have to convert a 4th and 11 with Stafford dropping back in the snow. Like, that's a low percentage play. The fact that our girl London Tipton, like, remembered that specific play, no, that's ball knowledge right there. And then she circled back around to it again. Speaking of London Tipton.
All right, we're composed back here.
Okay, what happened?
What happened was that I took a drink of my water, went down the wrong pipe. I choked, coughed right into the microphone that I did not mean to do that at all. And then Cassie started laughing, and then it just went downhill from there.
Yeah, I get it. I almost died because of cornbread a couple weeks ago for the same thing. It's a real thing.
I didn't mean to cough. Like, as an audio producer, I should not have coughed straight into the microphone like that. But, like, it happened so quickly.
It's fine, guys. Brenda Song is in a new TV show, and it's like, Alondra put this in the doc, and I'm like, have you heard about this show? She's like, no. So this is a total coincidence.
Yeah.
There is a show on Netflix called Running Point. You, of all people, would love this. Because, like, it's sports related, but not really. Okay, so Jeannie Buss of the Lakers.
Yeah.
This is essentially loosely based on Jeannie Buss. So, like, the backstory, they own the Los Angeles Waves basketball team instead of the Lakers. Yeah, like, they made no bones about the fact that it's her. And, like, her family owns the team. The father since passed away. The brother has taken over the team, but, like, he kind of gets, like, this bad drug addiction. The team's not going well or anything like that. So they turn it over to her. So Kate Hudson becomes the president of basketball operations for the Los Angeles Wave. Nobody respects her. All the teammates are being like, oh, well, you know, she's kind of hot. And, like, they like, to every detail, like, in the show, she had posed for Playboy. So that's all, like, which, first of all, I don't know if either of you know this. Jeannie Buss has posed for Playboy.
I think I did know that.
Like, she did the pictures, and, like, in the show, she, like, does the basketballs in the Staples Center, which is what although I think Jeannie Buss showed nip. Not 100% on that. Jeannie, if you're listening, I'm sorry if that's incorrect.
Confirmation on that?
I'm pretty sure Jeannie Buss showed nip in hers, but on this one, she's like, well, you know, it's just basketball. So, like, you know, she's kind of the rich guy's kid, right? And they all kind of are. It gives off Succession vibes because, like, they turn the team over to her.
Yeah.
The oldest brother does. He's like, look, I can't do it. I have this addiction. You know basketball better than your 2 brothers. I'm giving it to you.
Yeah.
The other 2 brothers, like, aren't having it. They're trying to overthrow her. They call a meeting of no confidence to kind of vote her out. But she's, like, really, really good at the job. That's like the kicker to it all. She's really good at this thing. And Brenda Song is the star of this show. Like, me and Victoria have almost finished the whole first season. Brenda Song is Kate Hudson's assistant in the show. She is phenomenal. She's hilarious. Like,
I'm going to have to check it out.
Foul mouth, like, F-bomb here, all that. Didn't expect that from old London Tipton, but, like, it is a phenomenal, phenomenal show. Like, you guys have to check this out. It's called Running Point. Like, Alondra, I'm telling you, you would love this show.
It sounds like I would.
All right, look, we actually ran a little long there talking about, well, TV shows and Alondra almost dying. So we'll take a quick time out. We'll come back. We got one more full segment left, and then we'll close it out with Ask the Bench. That's all coming up here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
GetGordon.com. GetGordon.com is the website, and we tell you every single day, as soon as you go to the homepage, it's going to pull up. You can have a chat with them right there on the main page of the website. So any question, concern that you might have, remember, you can get a consultation set up right there on the homepage of that website. You can find cases they can handle for you in the courtroom, past client results, all right there on the homepage of the website. What are they doing in the community? Well, always something throughout the state of Louisiana. At Get Gordon is always going to be the handle on all major social media, so you can check that out as well. Because like we said, I mean, they're always doing something throughout the state. Speaking of throughout the state, if you want to pick up the phone and give them a call, it is your area code from Shreveport to Ruston, from Ruston to Lafayette, Lafayette to Baton Rouge, New Orleans, like wherever you're at, put your area code followed by 888-8888. Get Gordon and get it done.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you.
Back to sports talk. Maybe. Off the bench.
Go to Central Plumbing, 925-8552, centralplumbing.org, centralplumbing.org, centralplumbing.org. You got plumbing problems? Go to the place that's been solving them for 50 years with flat rate pricing, licensed, bonded, and insured employees, excellent warranty work coverage once the work is done. Peace of mind every step along the way. Like, how did they grow so much over 50 years? How do you stand the test of time? How do you have this massive fleet now ready to meet all of Baton Rouge's needs? Because your customers are consistently satisfied. But, Jake, it's not just when things go wrong. It is not Stanley Jean-Baptiste. I knew something hurt you. If you're looking to upgrade at your home or your business, they can certainly come in. They can do that. I always tell you, go Central Plumbing. Go tankless today with a tankless water heater. Never run out of hot water. Again, that's something they can give you over at centralplumbing.org.
Please tell me you intentionally picked that live read to play.
No, but to be fair, there's like not a normal live
Well, that's
read,
true.
like
Yeah,
at
yeah.
all. So what I need to do is just get them to sit down and
Record
do
one and be like,
generic
these
ones.
are when you're out.
Yeah.
Because like you played it and then T-Bob said like 3 words and stopped and I looked like the Laundress computer crashed.
No.
Like whatever. No, it was just me. Forgot what he was going to say and then like cough, sneeze, farted, whatever it was in the middle of the like I just don't understand,
They're
my
all
guy.
so bad.
They're so out of context. Like it'll be you start them and they're in the middle of a sentence. But like to her point, that's how they start.
Yeah.
Like when I have to email these to certain clients and all that, that's pretty much what they sound like all day long. I got to tell you though, we can't tell him because he's probably not listening. I kind of miss my guy T-Bob a little bit. Never thought I would, you know. It's one of those things where it's like you get emotionally abused so much throughout your day that it becomes part of your day. And then when you don't, you're like, part of it's missing, you know, like I didn't have anybody yell at me. Like, okay, like Daniel Basham in the chat said the only way we can top the end of the show is if Cassie sticks a fork in the socket.
Yeah.
Good news is there's a socket right next to Cassie.
Somebody give me a fork.
We need to
Well,
find
I was
a
about to
fork.
say, like, be so glad, everyone, that I'm not in Cassie's position and T-Bob's not sitting here. Like, I'd be because like I'm dumb enough to do it, right? Like that's the thing. I'm an idiot. I'll be like, oh yeah, that's fine, dude. I'll do it. We'll be fine. And then T-Bob will egg me on. Like, we better be glad he's not here because that would be happening. And a trip to the emergency room would likely be in someone, probably me.
Probably the morgue.
Yeah, that's
Not
true.
even the
We
emergency
got one right
room.
next door.
Yeah.
We're okay.
In the basement.
Well, true. The basement too. Basement's scary.
I hate lunch in there.
I remember the first time I went in the basement. I was terrified.
And you know what? When you start working here, people love to tell you that the morgue was in the basement.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's like the first thing they
Yeah.
tell you. Like, hey, do you know the morgue was in the basement? Like, all right.
I
Yeah.
remember the first time they were like, "Oh, we've got like cake in the basement." I was like, "Taylor, can you go to the basement with me?"
Yeah.
Like, I was
So
like, I don't want to go there.
I've actually stayed the night here before.
No.
In Guarantee.
That would be scary.
Now, it wasn't in the basement. I'll tell you where it was. It was the leather couch in the first floor lobby.
Oh no.
We had to do it so I'm on the leather couch. Kate is right next to me on the floor on an air mattress or a cot or whatever it was.
God.
We were sleeping right there. It was Hurricane Ida, which, I mean, we lost power for like a week and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all remember, we didn't even have any frigging gas. Costco had to open it up, which you never got gas at Costco. Any fishing operation they were on there. That thing was wrapped around the building and I got gas in like 5 minutes. So we had to stay the night here. And I was like, okay, I'll take the leather couch. It's cool on the first floor. I didn't consider the fact that when the power went out, that leather was going to get really warm underneath me. I was practically stuck to this couch for, like when I woke up, I was in a bad place. Well, speaking of somebody else who's in a bad place, Matt Rule is in the headlines for all the wrong reasons once again. Now, look, whatever you think about canceling spring games, not canceling, it's like he did it. Texas does it. USC does it. It's like there's a couple big name schools, but like Matt Rule's kind of the ringleader of this all. So he has canceled the spring game. But not only that, he wants to double down and say, okay, well, fans are still allowed. We're going to do a skills competition. 7-on-7 games inside Memorial Stadium. So it's going to be on campus. It'll be April 26th, just like their normal spring game would be. And if you remember, Rule said that he didn't want to have the spring game. He had concerns about other teams scouting players in the scrimmage and possibly poaching them through the transfer portal. I got news for you, Matt. That's pretty much going to happen regardless of if you have a spring game or not. And I've heard some people say, well, we don't have a depth chart, so players don't know the pecking order. You mean to tell me the players don't realize if they're wide receiver 1 or 5 going through team drills? Like, come on. These players aren't stupid. So here's the thing. They're going to do it similar to the Pro Bowl. They're going to have competition, skill games, which, like, you're trying to copy the Pro Bowl. Like, the Pro Bowl sucks. Like, we've talked about how bad the Pro Bowl and the NBA All-Star Weekend is. Like, they're awful. Like, you had Wembanyama doing the passing competition. You had, like, dodgeball with the NFL. That's, like, the main event now. Like, the NFL Pro Bowl games are awful, and you want to model it after that? Here's the worst part. It's going to cost $10 per person to get in. Not only are you canceling the spring game, LSU spring game, 100% free, by the way. It's been free my entire life. You cancel the spring game where people can go watch actual football, and I get it. It's a glorified practice, but you're putting in 7-on-7 and skills games. They'll probably have a freaking tug-of-war competition, and you're going to charge people admission to go in. Also, for an extra $50 per fan, you can take a 1-hour tour of their athletic complex and their football building. No thanks. They're calling this Husker Games. Nebraska will also host a soccer exhibition in that same stadium later that day. So they're trying to turn it into an entire fan day experience. You're going to charge people to go watch your football players throw balls through hoops, play 7-on-7, tag, whatever they're playing. I think this is an awful idea. Like, does anybody else think that, like, Matt Rule's completely out of pocket for this?
This is stupid, and I'm going to tell you why. The NBA All-Star Tournament. I get they're two different sports.
Yeah.
Nobody cared to watch all that stuff. So, like, it just... I get they're two different leagues, two different sports, but, like, the sentiment's the same for me, too, where, like, nobody cares to watch that, and I'm definitely not paying to go watch that.
Exactly.
Would you go would you pay to go watch, like, the what are the games that they do, like, for NFL? Remember?
They just call them Pro Bowl games.
Yeah, that's what I thought they were, but
dodgeball,
that felt
tug of war,
stupid to me. Like,
the agility
that's how
competition.
stupid it is.
Yeah.
That, like, I was like, they're Pro Bowl games, but it sounds so stupid that I didn't think it was. So, like, that, it just, no, I'm not paying to watch that.
No.
Matt Rule, terrible idea. Yeah, no.
This is kind of a...
Yeah, there we go. The NFL Pro Bowl games is dumb, too. Yeah, nobody cares. Stupid.
Yeah, like, we were talking, like, okay, and yes, we all had fun with Alondra because she's a Spurs fan, but, like, you literally disqualified Victor Wembanyama and Chris Paul in a passing competition that, like, really at the end of the day, nobody cared about.
Right.
In the NFL, they're playing friggin' dodgeball. Like, you're going to charge people admission to watch college-style 7-on-7 and Pro Bowl games when LSU's entire spring football game is free. Also, like, you're canceling the spring game. That told me everything I needed to know about Matt Rule. He was kind of the ringleader of all this. Then you doubled down on it. Like, I mentioned, it was either yesterday or Wednesday, I mentioned that, like, the Dallas Mavericks doubling down was a total slap in the face of their fan base when they were like, hey, we're raising ticket prices by 9% for investment into the franchise when you traded away your entire franchise.
Right.
Like, you traded away your entire franchise. You trade for an injured player in Anthony Davis, who's played one game. Kyrie Irving tears his ACL, and now you're like, guys, we got to invest in the future. Like, this is, like, kind of on par with that. Not as extreme because these are not regular season games, but charging for 7-on-7, I am not on board with that. All right, guys, that's pretty much going to do it for our Friday edition of Off the Bench. Everybody get your questions in the YouTube chat. We're going to close this thing out like we do every day with a little bit of Ask the Bench coming up next.
Off the Bench.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, Know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Back to sports talk. Maybe. Off the bench.
Welcome back in. Final segment of a Friday edition of Off the Bench. It has been a heck of a week. Jacob Hesser, T-Bob Bear, both back on Monday morning. We went a little long in that last segment, so I want to kind of go ahead and get things started here with Ask the Bench. And Nookie asked the bench, if Alondra had been legitimately choking, are you confident you can successfully perform the Heimlich maneuver? Because the doc that Oshner is named for died that way at a medical conference surrounded by doctors. So
that's actually insane.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think I could perform the Heimlich maneuver on somebody, but there was nothing to maneuver out of me. I was choking on water.
Yeah, it was water, and guys, she was laughing at that point. But also, if you can laugh, you can breathe. She's fine.
Right.
Also, I have told Cassie and Jacob Beck this numerous times because we all have our desks are all in the same areas. If you let anything bad happen, I cannot promise I'll know what to do. I'll try to help, but I cannot promise that you will live because I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Ask the bench, who is Tay-Tay's favorite person in the chat besides Scott Dice? Asked by Scott Dice. The two Daniels crack me up, guys. I'm not going to lie to you guys.
Too.
I love all of you, but Daniel Basham has this thing where he has this opinion of me that is so off that it's funny. And then Daniel Blunt says the most off the wall thing. So probably some combination of them. Daniel Basham asked the bench, is it alarming that no one in studio came to help Alondra? She was choking. Guys, she wasn't choking because first off.
Cassie immediately laughed. She wasn't even like, you good? She was just like, ah.
That's what triggered
me.
To
be fair, I started laughing too.
I was just dying the fact that you called
straight
right
to the mic.
to the
What
mic.
made me notice was the sound, and then I turn and they're both laughing. We're fine. Plus, if you're choking on water, are you choking or are you drowning? That's.
Yeah, I was drowning.
Yeah, she was drowning more than anything.
Yeah.
Ask the bench. In your opinion, is it better for the women's basketball team to lose tonight so that they can rest up for the NCAA tournament? I go either way.
I don't ever think that it's a good idea to lose.
Yes.
And I know that I say stuff about the Spurs tanking all the time, but they're actually trying to win. And
when you get a draft pick for that,
right?
LSU loses, they don't get a draft.
They don't get
pick.
anything for it. I get trying to get rest, but I don't think that you should ever go and half-ass anything.
Well, and also the one player that's banged up is Flau'jae Johnson, and Kim already shut her down till the NCAA tournament. So you might as well go try to win it now.
Just go try to win it.
Does it matter? LSU's going to hover on anywhere between a 3 and a 5 seed.
Yeah.
I mean, the higher seed, the better. I personally don't care that much about seeding because if you're going to make it to the national championship, you got to play the best teams anyways. Get them out of the way sooner or later. Doesn't really matter. But no, I mean, I could see both sides of it. But the fact that Flau'jae is already shut down now, I say go ahead and do it. Ask the bench, what would be, good Lord, Alondra's sparking a lot of death in the
I know.
in the chat. Ask the bench, what would be the funniest way to die?
Funniest? I don't think any way is funny.
Getting tickled to death, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, is there a funny way to die?
No, I don't know.
Ask the bench, favorite uniform in pro sports and college sports. So, for the NFL, my favorite is actually the white gold of the San Francisco 49ers. I love that, especially during day games. The gold on that helmet pops. I don't know why that's not going to be most people's answer in the NFL. As far as LSU goes, we'll just stick to college. My favorite uniform on campus, Hunt Palmer will hate me for saying this, is LSU's Sunday Golds in baseball. Purple hat, white jersey, or purple hat, gold jersey, white pants. That is my favorite. Alondra, do you have a favorite LSU uniform?
Pinstripes.
Just the Friday pins?
The Friday pins, and I wish that we wore them more often. I love pinstripes. They're so classic.
I love it too. Like that would probably be my second choice.
You know what I would love? I would love if we had some stirrups into it. Like go fully. I don't think I've ever noticed. Do any of them wear stirrups?
I don't think so.
I would love that.
I don't think so. I've never seen it, but the only reason I picked the purple, gold, white is I love LSU's colors, and I think that uniform more than any accentuates all three of them. Purple, gold to white. I love it. Always have. It pops to me. All right, guys, look, that's going to do it for a Friday edition of OTB. It has been a long week here for us. I know all three of us are tired. We've been into a multitude of roles that we're not normally doing, but that'll do it for Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.